Gathered friends, listen again, oops, to our legend of Mad Malum.
That works on several levels.
That works way better than that works way better than me doing a trailer voice reading for Mad Max. Now I regret even more that I did that.
Don't worry, I'll tack it on at the end of the episode.
Dudek.
And I am Liam, also known as Vahkiti.
I am Levi, aka Glibb. Sorry, Josie.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was my turn. We don't really have prescribed turn orders. We need to have prescribed seats. We need to have prescribed seating.
The only rule is that I go first.
The only rule here is the rule of the desert.
The alpha goes first and all others follow.
Okay.
Who are our
let me
guests
know when
for
it's
today?
my turn. I'm not paying attention.
And of course, we have two guests this week. Please introduce yourselves as well.
I'm BobTheDoctor27.
Indeed.
Happy to be here.
And I'm Gonel.
Indeed.
Welcome back, guys.
Hello.
And welcome
did
back,
I not
Levi.
Did I not actually introduce myself? What?
I mean, Levi
much
kind
did.
of introduced you, and then you bounced off of that. So
I am Io, the cat the lucidity of the cat goddess. Fuck
very
you.
good.
Good stuff.
Wow, that's the earliest cuss in the entire series so far.
Replace it with Bionicle widget noises.
Actually, no,
Idiot.
Liam, didn't you start the series on the same old note by just screaming shit?
No, I started the series by screaming penis. There's a distinct
was it.
difference.
We're allowed to say penis.
That's also something you should feel awkward about screaming on your community radio.
No, it's fine.
The world's most dangerous game of shouting penis. See who can say it the loudest.
It's tradition. It's tradition.
It's tradition.
I would win.
And speaking of extradition, the desert.
Well, hold on. As good as that segue is,
It really was.
To start with, I think, Levi, if you still have your notes for Reign of Shadows, The Untold Stories, I'd like to hear a condensed version of your thoughts on that before we get into this week's stuff.
Apply a chipmunk filter to it.
I do, yes. So the whole thing starts out pretty dark, obviously. Forced labor camps and waiting for heroes that didn't arrive.
Absolutely. I mentioned this in the recording, too. Absolutely in character for Maku to just start throwing people in concentration camps.
Absolutely, yeah. No, this is the dream he's been waiting to live. We're getting a look at it now, and it's not that fun. So we
Fun for him.
get a pretty interesting look into Akmo's mind.
Yeah?
Like him not being made out to be just this sniveling fool. He's a Matoran whose idea of safety and security are very different to other Matorans. He doesn't quite understand why the others aren't just falling in line. It's what they're there for in his mind.
I mentioned this. I mentioned this in the past recording as well, but I like that there's been a bit of a turn in the perception of Akmu's character by the community in recent years, and people have been giving him a lot more nuance than he was previously allowed.
Absolutely loved to see it. Fantastic. I love that stuff. I've got one note that's just meet the new Great Spirit, same as the old Great Spirit. Sounds rather heretical of you there, Lisa Vic. In chapter 2, I quite liked the prototype, the pebble and the boulder of equal height. My notes say it's a smashing line if you'll forgive the pun. It was a bit sad, really, to see in chapter 3 the Matoran broken so quickly. They spent 1,000 years at war, scraping and surviving, and it took like a month for them to fall in line. It really did just devolve so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, when you are when the bad guy literally becomes God, there's not really much else you can do at that point.
Unfortunately,
It's over, man.
so. Same chapter. Ready your fighting arm and let divine vengeance grow within you is a fucking hell of a line. And Alex's joy at just swimming in some nice warm water finally. That just kind of warmed my heart.
I do enjoy this water that isn't spicy to my bones.
He's just like, I'm having so much fun. I really like in the recent stories we've been showing a lot more of the non-villainous aspects to the villain characters. Fantastic. I always love seeing that. It just pads them out and makes them so much more fleshed out and understandable.
Yeah.
I adore the trust and brotherhood from Brutaka towards Axon. Even when we were lost to ourselves, willing to take up arms against him, Axon still came for us. Beautiful line.
Yeah.
If the Great Spirit wishes, you will find it. Pray that he is feeling merciful. Axon absolutely just dunking on Takadox. Chapter 5. Brutaka getting bodied on sight for dumping that Tatarak in the archives is amazing.
Yeah, I love how the Tatarak and Old War Rahi have basically just become like the main plot of Bionicle in this.
As it should be. Taters is my favorite character.
I love that Axon sees a whole herd of Tatarak having a bit of an issue, and he's immediately just like, "That's got to be Brutaka."
If I had the money, Taters would be the first Bionicle model that I would try to piece together.
Isn't it so? That would be very cool.
Absolutely. Levi, you know what Taters looks like, right?
Yeah. Big dino raw lizard boy.
Big green guy covered in Lewa swords.
Yeah.
Cracker returning and working with the Toa. Love it.
Love it.
I've
like it, love it, gotta have it.
Yeah, exactly. I've always been fascinated with Cracker as a character and the turnaround that they almost, well, no, they did kind of give Cracker a turnaround, but really it turned into just a bit of a side story. This time it's front and center, Cracker's trying to be a good boy. Very cool.
Girl.
Is it girl? I thought really was shapeshifter is either.
She identifies as a girl.
She's a girl.
Oh, fair enough. In that case, yeah, we'll stick with that.
As a shapeshifter, she can be whatever she wants, but she identifies as female. So,
yeah, okie doke. Even more Borok. It's been an absolute Borok bonanza. Then stealth is just stealth still.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
It was cool to see all the factions unite in resistance against Makuta, as it always is to see any of these disparate factions come together.
In a lot of ways, it wasn't so much factions coming together as much as it was everyone in the universe dogpiling on Makuta at the exact same time.
Yes, in some of it, but also there's moments where you see the resistance, and particularly there's in chapter 7 a moment where you see the resistance in one of their underground locations. It describes the the Stealthians and the Dark Hunters, and like there's all sorts in there working together and helping each other. Really fun to see that. Very cool to see Kiara. I had a feeling that the Toa under that Krana was a returning character, but I wasn't expecting that to be Kiara. That's very cool. And it's also cool to see she's up to her old bug zapping, no mercy ways.
Oh gosh, she really is just a flying bug zapper at that point, huh?
Also, of course, Kiara and Kopaka get along. That's brilliant. I love that.
Mm.
They've got such similar personalities. Really cool plan to just bring down a whole mountain as a distraction against the Borak armies that are coming their way.
Mm.
Jomak absolutely comes out swinging with, there's no need to waste my final moments with your insipid to Makuta. Brilliant.
Did anyone else hear him cutting out a bit?
Yeah, but I'm sure it'll be fine in the recording.
All
Hopefully
right.
so.
Just the sheer enormity of Jomak's awesomeness was just King Crimsoning out his time.
But
Or something.
what about Grover Cleveland?
I don't know who this
see,
is.
Levi
that
won't
time-
get that joke.
See,
I
that
don't get it.
timeline never happened because
You were
Grover
there!
Cleveland,
I
Grover
was there,
Cleveland-
but I don't know who that is.
Grover Cleveland only exists in the timeline where Tahu and Jomak fell into the energized protodermis.
Who is Grover Cleveland?
It's
Exactly.
like what he was an old U.S. president.
Oh, was he? Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not American. I wouldn't know. I'm not
You aren't?
remotely American.
You aren't?
I'm
What
not.
are you?
I'm Polish.
Well, Polish Canadian technically
Yeah,
now.
but I'm from Poland originally.
Yeah.
Oh! They have Polish people there?
Yes, a lot actually.
Poland exists?
There's a lot of
I
Polish
thought
people
that was
here.
just fairy tales.
Poland fell into the energized protodermis?
I feel like I've mentioned this before, at the very least, that I live in Canada.
Yes, well, this again.
What
I
would
may be
happen if
lucid
Poland
right now,
and
but my
Canada
memory
fell
is
into
still-
energized protodermis together?
Okay.
Yeah, I would happen.
I need to make this point clear. I may be lucid right now. I may be paying attention right now, but my memory and my attention span are still really bad. I still cannot keep track of information for more than 30 seconds.
Oh dear.
That is an exaggeration, but not as much as you would hope.
So what were you saying, Levi?
Yes, what was he saying? I have no idea.
I feel you, Josie. I really do.
Who are you?
Chapter 9, Cracker turns into a bird and Onu is just like, so anyway, I started blasting. That was pretty
And then I
good.
fired, and then I missed, and then I fired, and then I missed again, and I fired, and I missed.
Seeing the
Grumps.
shadowed one called Makuta's bluff was really fun.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that.
Like, do you know who I am? Yes, and?
I've got a few
Very-
vials. You're not going to like this.
Challenging an entire universe on its bluff. Very homestuck of him.
The time delayed toe powers being shown off in Reign of Shadows is pretty cool. Onu first brings down the mountain and he's like, you've got 5 minutes till this comes down. And then Tahu using time bombs. Like, I really like that they're shown to have this control of their element even after they've left the room.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Helrix and Makuta are just a pretty good comedy duo.
Yeah.
Love that. I love the banter.
We made the joke last time that at this point, Helrix is basically just Makuta's imaginary friend.
She literally is. She lives in his head.
She lives in his head with 2 decaying Glatorian corpses and Miserix thinking he's a painting.
Yep. Ignore me! I'm a painting! What if he's screaming that this whole time? Ignore me!
No, I just imagine painting Miserix is just like the Scream, but Miserix.
Can the mock
What if
even
he's
do
like
that?
King Charles's fucking portrait?
Can the model of him? Can the model even do that? If it can, that would be amazing. Shizzle. I tried to make that into not a swear. I can't. Somebody make that. I want to see an actual The Scream, but with bionicle parts of Miserix, Dragon Miserix, Scream. I don't know. It'd be a work of art.
Anyways.
What are we talking about?
My
Levi's thoughts.
recap. Indeed. The bit where Takanuva finds the whole room of just his own dead body, that was pretty well done. Quite spooky.
Yeah.
The Avmatoran being out here Resident Evil movie style laser gridding the Rachi to death is pretty fucking metal. The Toahaga taking the Matoran to the re-education camps is just that is oof indeed. That was nasty. And then he straight up calls them re-education camps.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I remember him using the word "welcome to the education center."
That's exactly what he said.
About right, yeah.
Gavla's
I remembered that detail because that was personal to my people.
Gavla's desire to become a Shadow
dear.
Matoran, yes.
Am I allowed to laugh at that?
Yes, of course, Ken. I'm making a joke. It's okay.
What was said? Who said what?
Max
I
made
assume that because the one who admitted he was Polish made a Holocaust joke, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I don't want to hear it. Moving on. Holocaust joke.
Let's make 9/11 jokes instead.
Oh, yeah.
Only Josie can do that,
no
though.
one cares about America.
So Gavla did 9/11. Let's go.
Gavla's desire to become a Shadow Matoran and Akamu's understanding but denial of that desire. Very interesting. Akamu comes across as really broken up about having to not let Gavla help resurrect the Shadow Leeches, become the Shadow Matoran that she felt so happy being, so content at least. Gali looking for a way to contact the Great Beings. Good luck with.
Yeah.
I ship Akamu and Gavla.
Kiara being absolutely starstruck by the Toanuva. Can't blame her, but that is super cute.
Yeah.
They are celebrities.
They are indeed. Zakhan's back and he's a misty boy now. That's pretty cool. The Shadowed One wanting Lariska to have Vietnam flashbacks to a brush with Tren Krom so that he can find out where to hit Makuta. Nice. That was dark.
Yep.
This whole thing has been really dark. It served its purpose of showing just how bad it was under Makuta.
Mm-hmm.
Alex summoning at that weird, underwater shrine. Not sure what was going on there, but that pays off with gigantic sea creatures. Fair enough. Pretty cool.
Outright stated to be the ones from that story with Mavra.
I did not notice that.
I also didn't notice that. I don't know why I know that. Guys, why do I know that?
One of my notes is just, it's my boy Nuju. I'm glad to have my boy back.
That's pretty good.
The stars have gotten absolutely funky, and Boomer's just like, it's another ancient prophecy I hid from coming true. We got a fuse now.
Fusion!
So the way you delivered that was really funny.
The Turaga Nui is pretty badass, though.
Yeah.
Umbra's back, nice. Very much like seeing Umbra whenever I can. Orde and Zarya too.
With light powers.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Overlap with Homestuck. Goths with light powers. Who take care of weird pets.
Lariska finally trying to kill the Shadowed One. Love to see it. That's fantastic. I'm glad that Lariska's finally done with that. Valika gets a great line with the movement of a single pebble can bring down a storm of rock. I like that from Valika.
Right
And with
before
that-
he hits the universe's off switch.
And with that, the last thing he ever does as a protagonist. This is literally the last thing he does before he decides, well, I'm evil now. I've always been secretly evil, but I'm going to do one last thing that actually helps someone.
In that same chapter 17, the Red Star gets brought down on Makuta's head. It
Not
ends
the Red
chapter.
Star.
Not the Red Star? Which one was it?
I think
Still
it was
one of the
it was
moons.
it was either Aqua Magna or a fragment of it.
Oh, I could have sworn that it was the Red Star that finally got bashed
No.
into
No,
Makuta.
The Red
I'm
Star's still in the
misremembering the
sky.
original story, then.
At this point.
At
Fair
this
enough.
point, the Red Star it continues hovering above Spherus Magna for a bit during the story, and then eventually crashes down.
Right.
But
in the yesterday quest. Not yesterday quest. The powers that be.
Yeah.
But both of the robots are long since out of commission by then.
Right. Long story short, though, big robot get bashed in head, go ouch.
Yep.
But that chapter finishes with just space, like on its own paragraph, just impact. That feels so final. That was really good.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a surprise that the Baraki can just suddenly breathe air. I didn't work that one out until it was explained after.
A gift from
Sorry, not
Madanui.
after, in Destiny's Reign of Shadows, sorry.
A gift from Madanui in the Mask of Light or whatever. When they
rejuvenate the world and it sends out that life energy to fix everything. It just sort of fixes everything indiscriminately.
Yeah.
that's literally
cool.
everything.
And it ends with the great legend. Love that. Always love that. We want to go through quickly. I've not got as many notes by far for Destiny's Reign of Shadows, the supplemental material last week, because it was just Reign of Shadows.
Right. I think we can stick with what we have here, unless you have any major
even,
notes.
Cover those in detail in the last episode.
Because we're already like 25 minutes in here.
25 minutes and 31 seconds. 32 seconds. 33 seconds.
Back to the YouTube video that I'm getting.
5, 6,
Yeah.
7.
Well, we'll see how much time we have. Josie, please.
I had already stopped counting when you said that.
Oh.
Idiot.
All right. So now we go on to our main event with a very tired Max here to start recapping.
No,
you're Lawless. Not tired, Max. You're Mad Max.
No.
God damn.
I am mad. I'm mad in more than one way.
You know I'm calling the episode that now.
I planned for this episode.
Like
I planned
my
for
name
this
Max
episode.
Yes.
I planned.
Go ahead. I am mad in many ways.
See, here's the thing. I wanted this. On the one hand, I wanted this episode to be full of Mad Max jokes, but on the other, I know nothing about Mad Max other than deserts, lack of water, cars.
Give us the gasoline.
And my YouTuber friend Leon ate some tacos.
I've never seen a single Mad Max movie, but my father quoted the bit where he's like, "Give us the gasoline."
I've never seen a taco before, but I know what they are.
I doubt this, but anyway.
I also doubt this. I had Taco Bell last week. It's fine.
Yeah. Look at you lying to
I had a
yourself. Anyway.
Guys, the Malum story.
Yeah, Malum's story. I like this one a lot, I must say.
I ship Malum so hard with the translator.
Yes, I put that in my notes. I was like, guys, we got it. The bit where no spoilers.
Want them to get married.
I did not give a single fuck about Malum until I read this story, and then I was like, oh wow, I actually give a fuck about Malum.
He's actually like one of the coolest characters in that.
He's by far my favorite. He is by far my favorite character in BIONICLE as a whole.
I love him.
Jesus, damn, that's crazy. Anyway, I'm actually going to start for real. We got... So the beginning of the story, we got Malum. He's meeting with the Vorox tribe leader with his little translator aide. She's very cool. And negotiates with this other Vorox tribe leader. Which eventually was aggressive negotiations via combat. As
if it could go any other way with this group of characters.
For real, though. So he wins, obviously, because, he's Malum, the coolest. And, they're able to go through and kind of, just generally claim the land in a way. And in exchange, Malum's like, I'm gonna give you information on a gory civilization. So that deal is done. Malum and his Vorox companion find a caravan that has been raided by bone hunters, where Kyrie is found unconscious. He's that one guy who appears a lot in Barra Magna stories.
The one guy.
The one fireman. Malum decides to rescue Kyrie so he can learn about what's been going on amongst the Akori tribes.
Rescue, quote unquote.
Yes.
I'm not
so
going to
Kyrie,
kill you,
Malum
but
learns
I have rescued you in chains.
I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to take you as prisoner. But I am going to just leave you out in the desert to fend for yourself. Just like they left me. Bitch. Liam, gears. Widget noises. Go.
So Malum learns that the Skrull have been dominating in the arenas, and he's like, damn, that's crazy, dog. So he lets Kyrie go, but he leaves him to his own devices to survive the wasteland.
What the dog doing?
What's a dog?
No.
Malum out here inventing new slang, like, damn, what the dog doing?
Alright, so that's enough of that. So, traveling east through the desert, Malum and his Vorox companions discover...
Hello?
Nanny?
No. What happened to Malum and his Vorox companions?
Gestalt.
On the edge of my seat here.
Aha, we have Max back. I heard Gestalt.
Max, I know there's limited water in the I know there's limited water in the wastelands, but you need to have some.
So as I was saying, it's funny because my recording got this, but anyway. So as I was saying...
Don't worry, I'll cut you off on purpose to make sure the effect remains.
Thank you. So they discover a bunch of Scarabaks and they shoot at it, and the Scarabaks are like, excuse me. And then they combine into this Gestalt and attack the Vorox. 2 Vorox die. Our translator lady, she gets her arm mangled, and it's very unfortunate.
Two things I want to mention here. Two things I want to mention here. One, the first 2 chapters have a very, very similar ending where Malum is just like, for I am Malum, champion of the wastelands. And that happens twice. And I genuinely thought after the second chapter that every chapter was going to end this way. Also, I love how this is where the Scarabaks learn Malum's form in The Legend Reborn.
I thought that was hilarious. The Scarabaks respected their fight. The Scarabaks colony respected their fight with Malum so much that they've just decided, okay, every time we fight as a colony from now on, we're going to take the form of this one guy. Oh my god. I'm so happy I'm gonna piss. Go on without me.
Right. Goodbye. So, in Volcanus, Oranu decides that Malum has become too great a threat and that he must be killed. And he assigns Akar to do it, and Akar's not happy. How sad.
I was really annoyed at this, actually. Like, Malum's out there living his best life, just trying to be a wasteland guy, and they're like, he's clearly scheming, get rid of him.
We should kill him or something.
He's dangerous.
Like, with the context of our ability to, as the reader, to see into his actual mindset, things like the fact that he's fantasized over the time that he's been exiled, not about returning to the city to slaughter and conquer, but returning and surrendering his weapons to submit to whatever punishment may await him. Like, he's clearly just trying to carve a new life out for himself, and it's really... that bothered me.
Yeah, like he's still a little bit mad. He's got a massive temper, but at the end of the day, he still has honor, and he was betrayed by his people.
World War Hulk.
He murdered a man.
In
We're
Marvel
forgetting Malum
Comics,
murdered a guy.
Did
in
he
Marvel
actually
Hulk-
kill someone?
He murdered
No,
a guy
he didn't.
in
He
the
was-
arena, wasn't it?
He was fighting
Yeah, he killed the guy
Strack
in the arena.
He didn't kill Strack, but he was about to, which was why he was exiled. So he didn't even
I thought he killed
kill a
someone
guy.
else.
No.
Oh.
The thing about his exile is that Strack doesn't even seem to be that bothered by it.
No, I loved that. Strack just being like, I can't really blame him. Like,
Oh my
that
god,
was
my
amazing.
memory is faulty.
Yeah, I
remember
can't
him
blame
murdering a man.
I can't blame him for trying to kill me. I'm a bastard.
Yeah, so I just thought of this just now. There are parallels in Marvel when the Illuminati, just for no reason whatsoever, decided, the Hulk is pretty dangerous. Let's just shoot him into space. And then
He is pretty dangerous.
they did, and the Hulk built a life for himself in space. He took a wife. He wasn't angry anymore, and he chose to stay as the Hulk because he was happy. And then the ship that blasted him here exploded, killed all of his people, his wife, and his kid. His kid survived, but he didn't know that yet. And so he was so angry that he went back to Earth and beat the shit out of the Illuminati, Liam Widgets.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a fun tangent.
Hulk, robots, same thing. Malum's the Hulk.
So,
I always
yeah.
imagine him with the voice of Kratos.
that fits Malum, I'd say.
That works.
That fits. That suits him.
Dad
I'll
of
keep
boy.
that in mind if I ever have to
Dad of
cast someone to play
boy.
Malum.
Dad of boy.
Dad of Zesk.
Dad of Zesk.
Anyway, so they continue on their journey east. They
continue towards their journey's end, TM.
Hold on. My notes are a bit screwy.
Scrungly?
Yeah, they are a bit scrungly right now. Hold on.
Scrungly.
Your notes are all caught up in the pear wiggler.
Enough of that.
We're not bringing that back. That joke is
Would you like a
so
fox
3
in this?
episodes ago.
Would you like a fox in these trying times?
Oh yeah. Okay, so they find Atticus, who has the best name ever. They find Atticus, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And Atticus is like, "I'm not telling. I'm here on the behalf of the Skrull. We're conquering these empty lands." And he's like, "Right. Well, this map you got here that I just retrieved from your nonsense says that you're looking for great being stuff." And Atticus is like, "Ah, damn, he's rumbled me."
He's rustled my jimmies.
He's wiggled my pears.
I shake my head.
Don't you shake your head
So-
at me. I am the head shaker around here.
So yes, so Atticus admits that he's searching for the Citadel of the Great Beings to look for, old GB tech,
Old war robots, as you would say.
Old war Rahi even.
I don't have Rahi on this planet, stupid.
Well, apparently they have naming day, so...
Well, it's just a coincidence. It's a very different naming day.
The naming day ceremony, to be fair, was said to be taken from the tradition of the great beings.
Mm.
It's kind of like how okay, like so
Yes.
gods.
Yeah. It is, yeah, you're
That's
right.
That's it. That's the statement. Gods.
Okay,
All right.
so I've been watching that time I got reincarnated as slime, and they have a whole mess of superpowers named after various gods from mythology here that should have no frame of reference in that world, but just do for some reason. Like Raphael, Lord of Wisdom, Argos, the Eye of God, other names that I can't.
What does that have to do with Attack?
The point is, naming day is just a universal concept. It exists everywhere, regardless of how little sense it makes.
Yeah, in Poland we have everyone has a name day, which is
Also,
it's a day. It's like a holiday related to names.
Also,
Good
names
to
are
know
important.
that Poland is actually just bonkers.
Also, and that's not
everyone
even-
has their own individual. There's a different. Each name has its own day.
Also, in reincarnated slime, monsters cannot be given names without devoting mana or magic power. So most monsters don't have names until a powerful entity bestows upon them a name, and then they grow more powerful.
Yeah, and
Not
the naming day in
unlike the
the
Matoran.
context of the scroll is getting a name to begin with,
Mhm.
and then
Yes.
whereas for Matoran it's either getting a new name or changing the spelling of your name.
Wait, so if they don't have a name before naming day, how do they like acknowledge each other?
I don't know,
The
man.
same way that Matoran are apparently able to recognize each other.
They say you, you there.
The same way that Matoran can recognize each other despite everyone wears masks and
Hey,
statistically
you, the
someone has
bitch
to.
in the back. No, the
Okay.
other bitch next to you.
No,
Sometimes-
exactly.
They just do, okay? It just works.
Yeah, because the
think about it.
leader, the ones with authority have names, so like they're the ones who like
Stronius, Tuma.
Yeah, the regular Skrull are not treated as like big. They're treated as like a kind of like a one entity. That's like something in their culture that I've noticed.
If they need something specifically from one Skrull, they give that guy a name. If they don't need
or
something
they just be like, you
specifically
there,
from a
come
Skrull,
over here.
if they don't need something specifically from a Skrull, then who cares?
Yeah, whoever's closest. Anyway.
Whoever's closest to me, bring me a soda.
Mm-hmm.
I will bestow
They
upon
also
you
have
the
like their own
name.
roles and stuff, so maybe they might refer to them by like rank or whatever.
I will bestow upon you the name Soda Gopher.
Yeah. The truth is, we don't know 100%. That we have to speculate a little bit because we didn't get much time with seeing Skrull culture in detail.
Yeah.
Naming Day is presumably just an event where they give multiple Skrulls names at once. But
I know at least Skrull that like prove themselves or like do something notable. They are rewarded with a name. It's like a reward.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there would be more than 2 named Skrull that we know of.
Mm-hmm. There are 3 that we know of.
What?
One of them is a normal one that we see get promoted in one comic, as in being given a name, and that's Brannar, my boy.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him.
Oh, there you go. See
guy.
that whole bit there. That's the naming day.
I don't remember that guy at all. Wow. He left no impact in my mind whatsoever.
2009 storyline was rushed because the entire thing was canceled years in advance.
Oh, he says what we're all thinking.
I didn't think that. But anyway. So Malum's like, all right, we're gonna let Attackers go, but we're not gonna help him, lol.
We will
and
later
we're gonna-
find out in Vision of the Great Beings that this was a mistake.
Yeah. But
It
so
was
then
then he knew.
then he
effed up. Damn, are you proud of me? I didn't do
Malaman
a
is-
swear.
Malaman is not a Goria, and his Vorox continue on their journey east to look for great being nonsense.
East.
I'm sorry.
I just like the way you said that all strained.
I thought you said Weast.
Oh,
So now-
heck, what if they were heading the wrong way this whole time?
So now Perditus is driving a car to go take down Mellum.
Perditus.
Mellum. And-
I read
it's so
I
hot
read
in here,
all
oh
of
my
his
God.
lines in the voice of Reviving Bionicle.
Well, you know what they say, Max. If it's getting hot in there, then take off all your clothes.
I'm professional.
You heard it right from your own concubine.
He is not.
You can't stop it, Max.
I
can
swear,
just say no.
I swear to God, if any of you, if Liam,
Yes.
with all of your
Yes.
power, with all the power invested in you, whoever is handling Myth and Legacy, if they do a canon voice for Perditus, make sure it sounds like Reviving Bionicle's text to speech. Okay, it has to.
So yeah, they're on their way. Akar is being driven. Blah blah blah. You know, stuff happened. As in nothing happened. They're just driving.
It's a big desert with nothing in it.
They're just driving along and talking about how they'd really rather not be driving along.
Yeah.
No, a lot
Akar
of it too
mentions
is,
like, "Hey, I'm gonna die soon. Please, someone needs to step up."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like that's pretty much the only conversation they have, and then it's specifically called out because Perditus is just like, "Wow, Akar doesn't talk much, and that's perfectly fine by me."
This is all Akar ever talks about is, "Oh, I'm old. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm so old. I'm gonna die."
Akar, just this whole story, just having given up hope and never regaining it is so.
You know, I do kind of wonder how old Akar actually is, because him, Tarix, and Vastus, all three of them are veterans from the Core War, but Vastus and Tarix seem to be doing significantly better in the arena.
I think Akar is definitely older than them just on account of that fact.
Yeah.
I think Akar is probably closer to like Sertavis' age.
That sounds about right, which would make him probably the oldest living Glatorian, except for maybe Sorel.
Don't forget as well that Tahu was based off of Akar originally, so he must have been around at that
Really?
time. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Huh.
I knew
Wait,
that.
so were the other Toamata based on other Glatorian as well? Or
Who's to
They
say?
could well have been. I don't think we know which
Not ones we
Glatorian,
know
but
though.
That's interesting.
But yeah, Akar is definitely one of the oldest Glatorian that are alive at the moment. You know.
Yeah, for this scene, I was specifically thinking, what would the conversation be like if you have to drive your dad across the desert?
You say that now I'm thinking of like at some point during the like a side story in Vision of the Great Beings, I'd like to see Tahu and Akar have like a character piece together, because Akar is basically Tahu's dad at that point.
Yeah. That's really.
He's his namesake, except not name, but like design sake.
Yeah.
Like me and Nicholas Copernicus.
So, Mononui's told me about you. Oh, really? What did he say? He said you were based on my...
He told me that you're really angry.
How sad.
Tahu would probably think of that as a compliment. No, he wouldn't. He's been through enough character development that he'd probably see that as an insult. Or at least, he'd probably see... the old me would probably see that as a compliment, but me, I'm just so tired.
Okay, here's a thought, just a brief side tangent. If Tahu was like, okay, assuming that Tahu was completely based on Akar, that implies that Akar was a lot more hot-headed back in his day, which means they had similar paths of character development.
I don't think I'm pretty sure it was only based on his design.
No, I like where this is going though, because they do have a similar path of character development.
There are certainly parallels, though.
Yeah.
I know, but at this point we're making up a lot of stuff.
I mean,
You know?
that's
That's
just
the whole
literally.
point of Myth and Legacies, isn't it?
Have you been with us for like the last 4 months?
But what I mean is that like it's the lore idea that Tahu's design was based on Akar is like something Greg said at some point. You know what I mean? I'm saying
Greg
that's not
Greg
something
says a
pulled
lot of
out of
things.
nowhere. You know, that's not something we made up.
I like Greg. He's a very good boy.
I mean, like you're not wrong. That's a possibility, but I'm saying that's
Greg is a very good boy?
that's conjecture on our part. You know,
Right.
It's conjecture that Greg is a very good boy?
no,
No.
the Akar thing.
No.
All we know was that Akara's design influenced Tahu's design.
Yeah.
I just want them to sit down together and have a nice, chill conversation about how they're two old dudes who've been through a lot of stuff. And they just want to sit down and have some fluids.
Even though
What do they drink?
Tahu is like 10 times younger than Akar.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but he lives in a big robot, so his time scale's all weird.
Mm.
His sense of time is weirder.
Not that he remembers most of it.
That's true.
Yeah.
He was asleep. He was canonically asleep for most of that.
Yeah.
Plus, Akar spent most of his life surrounded by endless wastelands, so like most of his life has been spent being bored.
I wouldn't say
Well,
that's
maybe
most.
not most. Maybe half his life.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
Half
I
his
wouldn't.
life.
He's
even
old
spent-
enough that it might not be most of his life.
I'm
Half
not
his
even
life
sure.
Half his life has been spent being bored, whereas Tahu's life has been pretty much full of nonstop chaos and adventure, and they're both equally tired.
I wouldn't even say that it was half of Akar's life, because we have to consider again, Tarex and Vastus are probably far younger than he is, and they are veterans of the Core War just like him. And also
they
the time
weren't spring
between
chickens when the Core War was around.
and also the time between the Core War and now was time enough for was only just enough time for Gresh to reach adulthood.
Yeah, Spirits Magnans live for an absurd amount of time.
Yeah.
Just from the facts we know. We
Yeah.
don't even know what their lifespan is, but we know it's absurdly long.
Yeah. Anyways.
Do they have an equivalent to coffee? Tea?
What?
What do they
What did you
drink
say?
besides water?
They have Thornax stew.
Oh! Is
It's
it
a
good?
good old
Is that
soup.
even good?
No.
No. It's bad. It's canonically bad. We know that. That's the funny thing is, like, every time it's brought up in, like, lore books or, like, reference guides, it's always, like, mentioned that it tastes like ass.
This is
Good.
stinky and it tastes like your swamp ass.
Good.
Anyway, I
This
gotta
is
get
a
back on
stew.
track.
A stew that is made from the explosive projectiles we
Okay, so
fling at
it
each other.
smells like durian, and it tastes like durian smells.
That sounds actually too accurate.
That's probably right. Yeah. Anyway, it's time for me to go continue. Wow.
Good boy.
My
I give you head
my
pats.
English brain is not working.
Oh, good boy. Good boy. There's a good boy.
Where was I?
Over there.
Oh yeah.
You were-
So they get to the mountains,
Very
and then Malum's guide is like going there, and he's like, where? And she was snarky with it, like that one, the right direction. And then Malum's like, enough of this disrespect. I like you, but I will rock your shit if you continue.
And she's
I love
like,
with this
"What?"
bit.
And she,
Sorry, go.
and she, you could practically see the hearts in her eyes when he's tough with her. Like, yes, I've been waiting for you to tell me to.
No, but I had the funniest joke ever.
Yes, punish me, Daddy.
Why?
Yes.
How much of what I said did you guys hear?
I don't think any of
None.
it.
Absolutely none. We have heard nothing you have said this entire 52 minutes and 21 seconds.
All right.
In fact, you don't even exist. You're not a real person.
All right. So, the Vorax translator is sassing Malamov, and he's had enough. He's like, all right, I really like you, but if you continue, I'm gonna rock your shit. I swear to God.
And that just makes her even more in love with him.
It's more than that. I love this bit because it basically says that she's testing him quietly to further his social credit.
Wow.
Well,
yes, thank you. Thank you for describing it that way.
King Crimson is erasing a lot of time this week. King Crimson being Malum, who is red, and the king.
I absolutely love this relationship that's building between these two. Like, he really values her counsel, and she.
I want them to get married.
Yes, I've got in my notes later because the bit where it's like his aide stood faithfully by his side with a sort of worship in her dark eyes, and I'm just like, shit, these two, right the fuck now. I need all the art, all the lewds. I need it all.
Yeah, they can canonically do that. They can boink.
Goddamn, they can bonk even.
They can boink.
Yeah.
You want to know something about
they're actually able to do that.
The first draft of the story, the Vorok's aide was pregnant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, actually, are you being serious?
Malum, my God.
Holy shit.
I removed it because I thought, it would take away from the relationship that was building, but also people would look the wrong way and they wouldn't get the full weight of the character. But I figured that could be a good way to introduce the members of the species reproduce biologically.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, the original first draft, the aide was pregnant, and it was, not really specified, but it was kind of implied.
Well, you know what? There's still time for them to do that after the story ends.
Although, in all honesty, given the lifespan of Glatorian and Nagori and whatnot, I feel like the pregnancy alone would be like 1,000 years. So it doesn't really contribute anything without a time skip.
Other than fetish material.
You stop that.
I'm not the one that
we
brought
don't
it
have
up.
to do that.
I'm not the one that brought it up.
We don't have to make it sexual.
He's the one that said she was pregnant, and you're the one that mentioned it lasts forever.
Moving right along.
Yes,
along.
Please.
Malum gets yoinked by the element lord of sand. Pretty fun.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
I love sand. I love bags of sand. They're coarse and rough, and I want to squeeze them.
That comes later.
That joke was made in Road of Fury, and I hate you people for that.
I was like, oh boy.
Road of Fury is full of...
I want to squeeze her big round bag of sand. I'm going to get some water.
Road of Fury is full of stupid jokes like that, but we'll save that for later.
It's funny though.
The title. That's all you need.
Yeah, exactly. The title itself is a joke, but we'll talk about it when we get to it. But so yes, the element Lord of Sand comes in and yoinks him, and is like, "Hey, what the hell is this? What are you doing, buddy?
These are my guys. What are you doing with my guys?"
So Malum stands his ground. He's being stubborn, but then the element Lord of Sand is like, being a leader means you're serving these guys, and he's like, oh, never thought about it.
He actually grows up a little bit here. My boy's growing up.
See, I interpret it a little.
Shit.
I interpret it a little differently than her teaching him that he's there to serve. I picture it as because it's something that he's shown. Being given a window into that he really cares about the Voroks, and he really actually respects and wants to further their society and their culture. It seems to me more that she's reminding him of the purpose of a leader than that he doesn't understand that to begin with. He's just sort of caught in his fury here at being told, you need to kneel to me. Like,
yeah,
he can't help but rage. That's his old ways coming back, but he does take the moment to push that fury down and recognize what is best for the Voroks in this situation and what they want. And I absolutely adore that. It's the reason why Malum was my favorite character on first reading the original novels.
This is no longer the road of fury.
He shows a true, genuine interest in the Voroks and in their culture, in their desires, in the ways that they think. He values everything about Vorok society and the Voroks themselves.
He understands that they do, in fact, actually think.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the first characters to give them that. What's the word?
Respect.
That respect, that benefit of the doubt that they're not just mindless animals.
He's also the first character who talks to them, and this is kind of the first chance we have to have dialogue with the Voroks, which we haven't seen anywhere else before. So it's really like he gives them a voice.
Relationships with them. He thinks
Absolutely.
of them. He has a better relationship with the Voroks than he ever did with any of his actual people.
And to get back to where we are in the story quickly as well, the line, there is after all a big difference between saluting and groveling. Fuck yes. I absolutely
love that line.
I love everything about Malum in this. This is peak. This is so well written.
Malum's just a cool character.
So surely as there is a blade in my hand and righteousness in sand in my soul goes so hard.
I don't own a Malum set. I need to change that.
Yeah.
I do. It's the only bonkle that I own.
Huh.
That's amazing.
I didn't even know you got one at any point.
I think I told you a few years back when I first got it. Yeah. No.
I need to get. I think he's number one on my list now because of this story. Actually,
Yeah.
Because I already liked the idea of him before from like the canon.
But with this, it just really does highlight how much of an excellent leader he is and an interesting character.
I need a Malum, and I need to piece together a female Voroks mock.
No. Enough of this.
Oh no, I cut out.
None of this.
Oh
yes,
no, Max.
all of this, every single this.
I'm back.
Only this.
Josie, please. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying, Levi, to me?
I was asking what you'd said because you said you cut out.
Yeah, I did cut out. I liked Malum a lot from. I like the idea of Malum a lot from the stories we did get in 2009. But this story has made you just be extra invested in him because like the basic ideas of him was set up in the story, like in canon material that was released. You know, it just the story itself never really explored it to any detail. You know, we knew the facts. We knew he was exiled, and we knew that he made his home amongst the Voroks and became basically like one of their own. You know, and that to me was just a really cool idea. But I like that the story is really capitalizing on that and really going in depth with it. You know,
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Oh, thanks,
to make
everyone.
me like him even more, because there's more substance to it rather than just facts we know,
Yeah.
Aye. And thank you, Bob, for giving us this. This is fantastic.
It's a great
Yep,
story.
Bob, you did such a good job. This is amazing. I didn't give a fuck about Malum until I read this, and now I do.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, Malum was always really special to me. One of the reasons was he was my first Glatorian set, but he was also one of the sets I was stuck with when lockdown happened. And I wrote this story through lockdown, just wanting to go outside and explore and find different ways to talk to people again. It was kind of like the time when this was written during 2020.
Surrounded by scorpions and dwarves.
Hey, everyone's lockdown was different, okay?
There was endless sand in all directions, and also a colony of beetles.
Yeah, it checks out. One of the things as well, though, this story went through a lot of redevelopment, and one of the first stages of the story was going to be Malum discovering the scroll. And it was kind of at this point, like the final part of the story, where he was going to discover Roxtus, and it was going to be the big reveal. He was going to find out about the scroll and the fact that they'd moved south. His journey was originally going to be north. But then someone found an obscure Ask Greg quote where Greg had said that Malum had in fact lost an arena match with a scroll, or he was exiled, which meant I had to rewrite the entire story to be about him going east to find the great beings, to find something else for him to do, because it was going to be about discovering the scroll. But I think this worked out much, much better. I'm much happier with the direction it ended up going about being a quest to discover the Sand Tribe's history.
I struggle to understand how I could be any happier with it.
Yeah, honestly, it's just, again, it comes back to the honor and the fervor that he has for the Vorok Society. It's become his main driving goal. He's willing to wander the whole of the wastes and put himself and his companions through so much just to rediscover every little piece of their history that he can. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. And on that note, we should probably finish it because we're already an hour in here.
Exactly. I was about to say.
I would like to hear that draft about the pregnancy, but we're moving on now.
we are actually, to be fair, only about a half hour in, considering the 25.
True.
Yeah, but
that's part of the episode still, you silly goose.
Is an hour in.
Fair enough.
Yep.
So anyway,
it's time for Malum to die. Akar and Predatus have shown up, and they're attacking. They're blasting, bro.
And they get absolutely demolished. Like,
they
it's
do.
Not even
they
funny.
get wrecked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sand Lady is like, that's enough. Enough of that.
For the longest time, has only really been relevant as a reviving Bionicle character. And he was only in Reviving Bionicle as the toy that no one cares about. He's just the figure that comes with he's just a figure that comes with a car. That everyone likes this car, but no one cares about the figure. That's why he's part of Reviving Bionicle, to experience the character arc of a toy no one cares about. And in these three stories, he kind of has his chance to shine. But not in this one. He gets ganked right away.
And he's like, my car! It's been totaled!
Oh no,
our table,
no one has any
broken.
reason to buy me! No!
And
no, I just
like,
have the basic Nika design.
So then Akar's like, all right, we gotta get out. So they leave.
And the Element Lord of Sands, she takes a quick moment to laugh at them.
Yeah, she's like Lamau. Lol, Lamau even.
The fire tribe stinky.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Malum. Didn't see you there.
So then Malum's like, we're the great beings, and he's like, well, they're beyond that peak.
Why don't you go check out this smoking
here comes
crater.
my favorite part in the story. Hold on. Here's my favorite part. Malum goes up the slope, and he finds the giant crater from where Aqua Magna got blown off the planet.
See,
and it's just dry as hell.
I brought this up in the M&L server earlier. I'm not sure if you saw it, Bob, but I feel like this scene could have been made very slightly better from a visual standpoint if instead it was Boda Magna's ejection point. Because then you could not only have the scene of Malum walking over this dune and seeing the crater in the ground with the moon hanging in the sky right above it, but when the Element Lord of Sand then says, like, this is where the great beings are, they're just over this peak, they're all dead, wouldn't it just be ironic as hell that, unbeknownst to the both of them, they're just sitting right above them on that moon. Just out of reach.
That would indeed be. My question would be, does that work with established canon? Because we've had them traveling specifically east.
Right.
There is at least one great being in that direction, though.
What were you going to
The
say?
thing is, this.
The thing as well is we now know that BobTheDoctor27 is where the great beings were going to be, but I didn't know that at the time when I wrote this. This was about 3 years before that revelation came out. But the reason I think I picked Aqua Magna was because it's where all the water is gone. They're kind of going in search of what has happened to the water on this planet. But I think you definitely have a good point, and I think the parallel that we now know of the significance of BobTheDoctor27 would actually make that a lot more impactful. So that is one of the things I do want to come back and tweak. But as well, like I said, I did kind of rush the completion of this because I had to change direction. Originally, this was going to be Roxdus. He was going to see Roxdus on the other side of this, and it was the origin of the Skrull, like where they come from. But it had to be tweaked kind of last minute to be about the Sand Tribes or the Great Beings.
Right.
Liam's thing still works because there is a great being in the direction of Aqua Magna. At least one.
It's amazing to me that so much of this story had to be changed so last minute because so well. Like, this feels so Malum's like sheer rage beings to this world. The quest that he's having to fix his history, it all works so well together that it's surprising to me that was never the plan.
I'm glad to hear that it works well. Yeah, I have a screenshot of this Ask Greg quote that just upheaved the entire story. But I actually think it did work out much better. And as you're saying, like, it becomes more of a journey of him to discover the Sand Tribe and discover his own place in this world. Whereas before, it was just going to be he discovers the Skrull, and it kind of is a prequel to the 2009 story. So yeah, I'm much happy. I think it was one of those cases where I had the benefit of redrafting it, and I had the strengths of the original draft, and I had the notes of his journey through the desert, but I can reframe it as a search the Great Beings and the search east instead of north.
Yeah.
Cleverly done, mate.
At the time, though, I guess it must have felt like, I know what I must do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
There can be alternate timelines and parallel universes where he went west, or he went north, or he went
We
south.
could have a what-if episode for every direction.
Or if he went south for the winter. Maybe he just flew upwards into the sky somehow. It's like, I have to go now. My home planet needs me. Malum, this is your home planet. And then somehow he just lifts off anyway. In
an alternate timeline, Madanui does not. In an alternate timeline, Malum fights Pterodax in a construct of Scarabax beetles.
I like that.
Are there? You know what? Yeah, why not?
Anyways,
in an infinite multiverse, there could be all sorts of possibilities. What if in a parallel timeline, Malum's a fish?
What if, guys, in a parallel timeline, all of this was DC and Batman came in?
This is DC, technically.
What if Green... No, it'd be Green Lantern. What if it was Green Lantern Batman?
What if Lee became a Green Lantern? Anyway.
What if we finished this story?
What
You're
if?
right.
What if we got to the epilogue and we had an interesting cliffhanger with Tucker's...
Yeah, but yeah, I love that scene where he finds the crater. I like the way that's described is good. That's my favorite part.
Hopelessness.
It reminds me of in the previous episode when Kopaka went to the edge of the GSR,
land of the illustrious.
Saw it, and he's like, "Bro, that's crazy." Anyway, it's time for the epilogue.
Utter despair and hopelessness.
Yes, we got Attackus and Perditus, and they're meeting at a little campsite. Perditus gives them water, and they're like, we are spies for a great being. We are agents.
Certainly, it couldn't be anyone with shovels for hands.
No, as he so often says, a tornado soothes to a gentle breeze only as temperatures cool.
I don't know why he says that, but he does.
He says
says
that like
strange
every
things.
3 sentences. It's weird.
I like to think that
Anyway,
these spies have a group chat with Valika, and Valika just posts this stuff, and they're like, "Oh my god, that was the best! That's my new life motto. I love that."
As Nikki put it last week, Valika just comes up one day and it's just like, one must imagine Sisyphus happy.
My girlfriend once said that to me, but she apparently had never actually heard the word Sisyphus pronounced, the name Sisyphus pronounced. She pronounced it Sissypuss.
Sissypuss.
Bad. That's bad. I don't like that.
One
Anyway,
must imagine Sissypuss happy.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Okay, that's enough of that for now. For now, as in for the rest of the episode.
I am the cat of time, and you can not control me.
That's pretty much how you could sum up the epilogue. It's short and to the point.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Fertitas has 3 things going for him: Car, Valika, reviving Bionicle.
Do we have any other thoughts on Way of the Lawless?
I'd like to go through a few of my notes just because this Malum, my favorite character, like I was really enjoying this.
Please give it to me.
I love that Malum's entirely embraced the wasteland life. That he's wishing to conquer the wasteland not with power but with knowledge. He's gathering the Vorok's knowledge to form a permanent place within the wasteland. That's really cool.
The wasteland grind.
Based.
I love that he has just been fully accepted by the element lord of sand. He is sand.
Yes, absolutely.
Malum actually is a pretty good leader.
He's fantastic. He's a caring and compassionate leader that is willing to make sacrifices, but also regrets those sacrifices. Like with the 2 Voroks, it mentions 2 young Voroks in his party being killed, and he
feels so bad about that.
Yeah.
Well, there's also that really powerful scene when his aide gets injured and the others start discussing amputating her arm. And he is very against that.
He is absolutely distraught at the idea. And she's there, just like, this is Vorok's culture. This is the Vorok's way. Love it.
Did they end up amputating her arm? I don't remember. Not in this.
Good. It doesn't mention. It's left open there.
Mm-hmm.
The moment with him losing those 2 Agori in his party, and
Zesk.
He says, "Oh, sorry, was it Zesk?" I could have sworn it stated that 2 young Voroks had been torn to shreds.
What?
There were 2 Voroks.
You said Agori just now.
In the fight with the Scarabax.
Yeah, you said Agori just now.
Did I say Agori?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you say Agori.
Okay, so the Voroks are the Glatorian equivalent. The Agori equivalent is the Zesk.
Yeah, okay, but he loses 2 of the young Voroks in his party, and he mentions both had shown him great kindness and they deserved better. He's so thankful for the compassion and the charity of the Voroks. Even in his position of power over them, he still values all of them, every last one of them, and the fact that they've united under him, the fact that they trust him, he values it all. I adore this character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for pointing that out as well, because when the first night that they spend on watch, he kind of begrudgingly tells someone to do the first watch, gets his own sleep, and then wakes up for his shift. After these 2 Voroks die, he is the first one.
Yes. There's just so much cool stuff in this. Just all of my notes of this, me gushing about how cool Malum is, to be honest. No, I think I'm just about done. Actually, I think I've Covered
Everything
I
else
wanted
is just 10 pages of
to.
Malum
is
fan
so
art.
cool.
I love Malum.
Just like
Love me,
little stick figure drawings of Levi next to Malum with hearts.
Oh, by the way, Liam, letting you know, editing wise, I had to turn on my fan. And I'm dying.
Okay.
Same here.
I'm dying in this studio. I need to cool down.
It's like 10:30 in the evening, and I'm boiling.
Oof.
Ugh.
Yeah, we've been recording for an hour without my fan, and I'm just like, because like my recording space is very insulated because of the acoustic treatment.
Surprisingly, I haven't had my air conditioner on this entire time, but I imagine I'm going to have to turn it on soon enough. I can already feel myself melting.
Yeah.
This is the episode
BB
where we
waves
all
of
get
heat.
heat stroke and die.
I am in a constant.
We're
I'm in a
truly
the
living
summer.
the Malum experience.
But anyway, it's time to move on to the next story because of our timing.
Yes. So which are we on to now? Remnants and Rejects or Road of
Yeah, Remnants and Rejects.
Remnants
We're
and
going to be
Rejects.
rejecting them.
Rejecting the Remnants, yes.
Mr. Gonel, may I have your assistance?
Absolutely.
Yes, could you, for the rest of the episode, Gonel's going to be recapping these stories.
Okay.
My notes are a bit skew with.
Okay, you go get
And
some water.
I'm like,
you go
Who's
get some
not
water,
doing
my
their
guy.
homework now?
Liam, Liam, shut
I'm
up.
dealing with stuff.
Liam, shut up. Max, it's okay. Go get some water and a snack.
No, I've got. I just, my notes are just ass for these. I'm good with the water. My notes are not good enough to do a good summary.
Do what mommy says or no dessert.
I have my own dessert. It's fine. I'm an adult.
We have dessert at home.
So
Dessert at home is Fornax stew.
I was just going to make that joke.
all right. Shall we?
Yeah.
We shall.
All
Hopefully.
right. So the prologue of Remnants and Rejects is set in an ambiguous time period because this whole story is kind of sprawling a large amount of time, catching up on this from this past year. All the major story events leading up to, well, pretty much the first half of 2009. So the prologue is, and this is also picking up for any reader coming off of the final battle, so introducing this new world as well. And we see Metis reflecting on the nature of the world. We don't know it's Metis at first, but then we learn it is. And he's
It
just...
does say Metis in like the second paragraph.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I missed that. Yeah, okay. Oh, perfect. There we go. Yeah, it's Metis.
Aren't you the one who wrote this, you silly bastard?
I haven't reviewed this in ages, but
I think as well, a lot of the moments where we have Metis narrative, it's not clear who is speaking, whereas this very first prologue, it is Metis.
yeah.
I just assume that whenever someone shady is talking, it's Metis.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then I just read it in
That's
Liam.
not a joke.
And then I just read it in Liam's voice.
Hey. Oh, wait, I was set to play Metis in Bionicle Next Generation. That's right.
Yeah.
Metis.
Oh, were you?
But
Yeah.
so it's introducing the world.
I was in
from...
Bionicle Next Generation.
Huh.
Who are you
Small
going to play?
world. Anyway, I don't know. Don't remember. The project never got far enough for me to really do anything.
Yeah.
Well, evidently Liam didn't remember he was playing Metis, so...
Lumatorin number 7.
This was over a decade ago.
Yeah.
The reason I
This was over
remember...
a decade ago, and the project never got far enough to like go anywhere.
Yeah.
To that stage of production, so we didn't really do anything. We were just there.
The reason I remembered is because Liam is important to me, and I think his voice really does fit. I also think Metis' voice fits for the voice of the Brickster from Lego Island. So basically, whenever I think of either character, I think of Liam.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, Gonel. I'm sorry to cut off your fantastic recap.
Sure.
Please continue.
Why did that sound so sarcastic?
It's just because that
I'm sorry to cut up your fantastic recap.
Exhaustion
it's
and
just because I am weary with the world right now.
I'm a veteran of
It's-
heat stroke leads to exhaustion. Exhaustion leads to exasperation. Exasperation makes everything you say sound sarcastic.
Anger
sounded
leads
like
to
the Jedi
hate.
code.
Hate leads to suffering.
That's right.
Anyway,
All right, that's enough distractions. Oops,
Yeah,
I
so-
smacked my head on my pop filter.
I am distractions. Hello. What are we
Max, at
talking
least
about?
you know it's working well because it filtered that pop real good.
Hey, everybody, I'm gonna go pee. You keep talking.
All right,
all
bye.
right. So yeah, this prologue suggests that something new has arrived. We don't know what it is or what Metis is thinking about, but by the first chapter, we see 11 months before the Atero Championship, and this massive column of soldiers has arrived in Barra Magna, and we get our first introduction to Tuma, as well.
Yeah.
As
Nice
Rockback.
attention to detail, by the way, with him riding the green rock steed that was only seen in, what was it, All Our Sins Remembered?
Yeah,
It wasn't All Our Sins Remembered, but it was another story
Yeah,
in
Rise
that
and Fall
graphic
of
novel.
the Scroll. Fall and
Rise and
Fall of the
Rise
Scroll.
Yeah.
But
or something like that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that story. That graphic novel, really cool.
that whole.
I got a physical copy of it. It's real nice.
I wish we could have gotten Power of the Great Beings as a graphic novel. But yeah, one can dream. I actually had dreams. Oh, this was actually something I forgot to mention for the invasion one. There was one time in middle school where I had a dream that there was a completed published copy of Invasion that I found on my bookshelf. I went down one morning and found it on my bookshelf, and I had to wake up from that dream. I was so sad. And then I had another dream, which pretty much the same thing happened, but very,
Finally, a lore version of the Bionicle Dream.
yeah,
It's
it
always
really
about
is.
the sets. It's never about the story.
I've never dreamed about the sets, only the books.
I had a dream.
Hell yeah, brother!
I had
You're like me.
I had like a corrupted version of the dream at one point where I walked into like a discount store and all they had were bootleg Nuvok Va and the Barra Magna disposable cameras, which up until that point I had completely forgotten actually existed.
I've never heard of these. What the hell?
My
you get one for
dreams,
me?
I am a god that the world relies on, and then suddenly my powers don't work, and the world fades into oblivion. And then
You're Matsuri in your dreams?
Yeah,
I am
here's the
God.
picture.
I am very much a god in my dreams. Yes.
There. And it
All right.
was specifically the Vorox one that I remember too. So I don't know how my brain
the
remembered that these
hell?
things existed.
I'm actually
I've never seen this in my life, and I was around at the
I'm
time.
currently working on a merchandise section for BSO1, so stay tuned. There's a lot of merchandise that needs compiling. And
Yeah.
You bring up
Yeah.
such a good point, Levi. I guess that's why I like Matanui so much as a deity.
Last thing I'll mention about obscure Bionicle merch. I've got the Vakama Hordika voice changer.
Oh my god.
Incredible. Does it
That
fit?
sounds so cool.
Does
the
it
one
fit?
person who doesn't need
I found it
something
at
to
a thrift
change a
store in
voice.
like 2011.
I
That inspired
remember
your
you.
voice
I
acting
remember
career.
someone mentioned that. I think it was Swirt actually, but wow, there's two of them that still exist, and one of them is yours. Does it work? Does it fit?
It fits. The eyes used to light up, but maybe I just need to change the battery.
Does
More to the
voice-
point, what does it actually sound like?
You know, like any voice changer toy of that era.
But
So
what
bad.
does it? Oh, right, yeah.
It's just playing your voice at a different pitch on the speaker.
It's you, but crispy.
Yeah, the speaker attaches to your can attach to your belt, and it's shaped like a Hordika torso.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Well, specifically
Wait,
like the chest armor.
hold on. The speaker goes on your belt.
Wait, what?
So
Yeah.
you're talking out your dick then. Okay.
Wait, what?
Well, no, you can put it to the side. You silly.
How much did this initially go for retail?
I don't know. I can't find any like I was never able to. I didn't even know this existed until I saw it with my eyes in person. I was like, what the hell is this?
I've been looking for a respirator mask with a built-in voice amplifier because people are constantly acting like they can't hear me when I talk to them in public. I want to just scream at them at the top of my lungs while voice amplified. Can you hear me now, asshole? But a respirator mask with a voice amplifier costs $100 usually.
Yes.
And usually the solution is the microphone in the mask comes out of a speaker that is worn separately.
Yeah.
Often on the belt.
Anyways.
So what you're saying is the Vakama Hordika mask was ahead of its time.
No, it wasn't.
Look,
because the Darth Vader voice changer worked the same way.
Sometimes when people describe technology as ahead of its time, they're talking about a very esoteric part of the technology. The individual piece is useless, but one specific thing about it is like I
hate to cut you off on your tangent, but we really got to pick up the pace here.
We were talking about a Bionicle thing, so let's move on to what we were actually doing. Sorry about that. Shut the hell up, Rhythm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So just rounding up the first chapter, Tuma brings in a few prisoners to interrogate. We meet these Earth Tribe characters, Vahkiti and Kaladi, who may be relevant later. And then
supposedly Earth Tribe.
Yeah, and then Tuma talks with Stronius. We get a sense of the Skrull culture, why they're coming down, the Patera, why they've been forced to leave into exile from their homeland, and they speak of these kind of a prophecy that the Skrull will be reborn in the desert of Barra Magna.
This is more intel anyone's ever been able to get out of Earth Tribe Agori before. I wonder why.
What do you mean Earth Tribe Agori? We've forgotten those existed.
Yes. And what's
also,
up
I believe this is the point as well where Sorel is captured.
Fuck.
Yes, it is.
Fuck.
He's
okay, they thought that fuck. We spoiled the plot already. Fuck. The thing is, we think that they're Rocket Gory. And that later they're revealed to be Rocket Gory, to be Earth.
I mean, in fairness, I did mention this to Bob and Gonel going in, but it is there is a slip up early in Road of Fury where they're specifically referred to as Earthagory like 3 chapters in, and it spoils the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I am lowering the temperature on my air conditioner. Heat stroke is affecting us all, and one of us needs to be thinking clearly, and I guess it's got to be me. Mm-hmm. As weird as that sounds, because we have just ruined the whole thing.
So pretty much the thing to keep in mind with this story is that it plays into this parallel between Tuma / the Skrull more broadly, but mainly Tuma and Motunui, that both of them are these kings that have been driven out, or kings or deities or leaders who have been driven out of their homeland by this evil and they've been forced to Barra Magna, where they have to pick up the pieces and find a way to defeat their old enemies. And there are a lot of parallels. I've written a whole essay on this. And I can get into it more after the book's finished. But this entire book is structured to be parallel to The Legend Reborn. So where Motunui is introduced in his first chapter, here we see Tuma. We see Tuma, or Motunui had Click. Tuma has this rock jackal that greets their arrival. And these guys are attacked by Iron Wolves. Motunui was attacked by a Vorak. So a bunch of different things that are going back and forth that way.
Don't you also have a story or novel or something in the works where Tuma and Motunui have to work together as well during the time between The Legend Reborn and The Journey's End?
I do.
That sounds based.
Speaking of powers of the great beings.
Hey, that's what that was, yeah.
Yeah, that
sounds based. That sounds based as heck. Are we going to be reading that for the podcast?
Slight spoiler for that, but yes, it's pretty much finished. I not sure. I think the reason I'm not sure. I think I was hoping to have published an accompanying Tuma story that is his version of Journey's End, where he goes up and tries to deal with the Batera himself as an exiled, without the power of the scroll, just on his own, trying to regain his honor, and in this final effort at beating the Batera.
I love hope. I love hopelessness.
It is. It's a very hopeless story. And
I love stories. I love stories about hopelessness.
As a Skrull, he's not allowed to put it down his weapon. He's not allowed to lay it down. But these Batera only attack people who are carrying weapons. So
that's why they went after the Skrull so bad.
Exactly. And so it's going to be how he navigates the North and tries to not only navigate his own internal struggle, but also finally contend with the Batera once and for all. So that's still in development, and I want to publish it kind of alongside Power of the Great Beings. But we could probably read Power of the Great Beings. Him working with Motunui is a slight spoiler for the second part, but yeah, it's that one's really fun. It was also inspired by Nick Krafora's work, who also published a Power of the Great Beings story. But
yes, I love her.
That one corresponds to the third part of Mizzen Legacy's Power of the Great Beings, so there's a lot of content that doesn't overlap there. We could read both. But anyway, that's so Motunui and Tuma are parallels throughout this entire story. So in other words, the first half of 2009's story, as written here, corresponds with the second half, which follows Motunui in Legend Reborn.
Very
interesting. And I'll continue covering some of the parallels as we go.
Yeah. Lovely.
So when Tuma says in the Desert of Bar Magna, a legend will be reborn, that's a big nod forward.
Yeah, that was another silly hee-hee-hoo.
Yes.
I literally have the DVD on my desk.
Not just meant to be silly, it's meant to signal that these are parallels. It's not just another of those, like Road of Fury's fourth wall breaks. This one's actually meant to
good old BIONICLE Renaissance.
Yeah. So the second chapter flashes forward several months, and it's basically an adaptation of the first half of the first Bar Magna comic. And there isn't really anything new here. With the novelizations of the comics, a big effort was made to expand on a lot of ideas that are suggested and hinted at, but never fully like some big stuff that Greg was trying to pack into this first two comics, but which are only expanded. Like, for example, the caravan that's attacking the water village. The name escaped.
Ejun?
Yes, Ejun. And so that's a big deal in the 2009 story, but we don't hear much about it just because there's so much ground to cover. That's the first instance where the Bone Hunters are collaborating with the Skrull. So I think this first chapter, as I recall, sticks pretty closely to the comic. It's pretty much just a direct adaptation.
It does have a couple of little notes. So I think it acknowledges the secret of Sertivus when Grash appears, because Berix and Grash are in the same scene, and they previously have been on an adventure, which is, I think, one of the young readers' stories. So it's kind of alluded to here. And there's also mentioned that Strack was the Glatorian who Malum faced in the arena when he was exiled, which wasn't mentioned in the comic as well. So it's just tying up some extra loose ends.
Exactly. And this book is also tries to make an effort to make it clear where you can slot in all those extra Bar Magna books. So because there are so many time skips, a lot of those can just be read in between each flash forward. So, yeah, make it easier for compilations and whatnot. Anyway, I think that's it for chapter 2, or chapter 2.
I think it was. Was it?
That was the comic was chapter 2. So,
I see.
Basically, Beerix is fleeing these bone hunters, and then right as he's about to die, these Glatorian intervene. This mysterious green Glatorian named Gresh. We have Tarex and Strack as well, and they heroically stop the Pharaoh from killing him. And then these Voroks attack as well, and we see this mysterious figure in the distance, but we don't know much about him. Except if you read Way of the Lawless.
You read the comic, it's Malum.
Yeah, in which case you know everything about Malum. But
I read this issue so many times back in the day.
yeah, this was the first comic I read where I was really following the story. Very nostalgic. Yeah, so
I like it.
Chapter 3 is also continuing the first comic. And
I also wanted to mention one thing real quick, that I think that there was a specific line in, I think it was in chapter 2, where Tuma starts discussing I think he's discussing with Stronius the prophecy that a seer from the Sisters of the Scrawl mentioned once, that the Scrawl will be broken and remade. And we've seen them be broken, but we've yet to see them be remade, even up to the current point in the timeline. So I'd be curious to see how we end up building
me the
onto
elder
that.
sister.
Yeah.
What if the elder sister comes up and is like, "Hey, I'm remaking you," but my
Both
way.
literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Dunks them in energized protodermis.
And Bob Dole pops out.
Does EP work on Spheres Magnets? It does, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we've ever seen it be attempted. But you know, who knows? Maybe they will be the first.
Yeah.
President Grover Cleveland shall walk this earth.
Yeah.
Thing.
So, the third chapter then. So continuing now in Volcanus and going back to the parallels with The Legend Reborn, that story takes Matsunui directly to Volcanus. Now we see the Skrull arriving in Volcanus as well as the rest of the plot. So we see this expanded version of this discussion between Metis and Ranu, and kind of sets the stage a little bit for this upcoming fight. We see Attackus going through the crowds with the Skrull, and they're discussing it a little bit. Attackus is saying, "You're one of the better ones at this," and which kind of, yeah. And Gresh and Terex are discussing the terms of the fight, and Ranu announces the fight, and the fight begins.
And then Gresh gets absolutely bodied.
Yes. We hear this chant.
So apparently he does relatively well.
Well, yeah, he does. But we hear this chant that precedes every Glatorian fight, which isn't canonical, but which is here, where they're shouting for glory, for victory, for honor. That'll be
Yeah,
right.
that's the tagline that was shown in like the CG trailers, isn't it?
Not quite. It's related to the one that's under the Glatorian comic titles.
Right, right.
We'll get to that later. That's relevant in one of the final chapters, but
it's their equivalent to Unity Doody Daddy.
Yeah.
Somewhere, yeah.
Doody.
They're three virtues. The three virtues that every arena fighter held dear and every spectator melted at. They fight. We watch the fight as displayed in the comics. Gresh manages to hold out longer, but he's still beaten by the Skrull.
He lasts for 3 whole minutes.
Yeah.
longer than most.
And then outside
You could say he has ball joints more than most.
Yes.
No, the Glatorian are fleshier than Bonkles, so they probably have actual balls.
Actually. Yeah. And then we go outside Volcanus. We see this scroll meeting with someone outside. We see this expanded version of the discussion in the comics. Largely the same thing. And then we see Terex walking in, and he hears something, and he sees Beerix. Strangely coming from a similar area to where the scroll was talking with this trader. Very weird. I wonder if Beerix may have something to do with the scroll. Then they discuss, they talk about how dangerous the canyons are. We get to know Beerix a little more. And then the scroll goes back and reports to Tuma, and Tuma says, "We will attack, we will win, and Barra Magna will be ours." That's chapter 3.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Flashing forward a little bit then to chapter 4, unless there are any thoughts on the adaptation of that comic.
You like how I'm talking less to make this go faster?
I thought it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I do like, I think it was in this chapter that Strack was discussing how he almost snapped in the arena too. I think they were talking about Malum.
Mm-hmm.
And I know at one point we were having discussions about the elder sister or Anona or someone being partially responsible for these kind of things. And I like that this could potentially add more fuel to that idea.
In an alternate timeline, Strack is the one that goes too far and gets exiled, and Malum is a fish.
Well, he did eventually with Akar.
But honestly, even quite aside from any outside influence, I imagine these arenas would be extremely stressful. So I could...
Strack, Lord of the Scrolls!
Yeah, there's a lot at stake, like literal food for survival. I don't think they need nudging from psychic forces to snap a little.
Setting up where Strack gets exiled ultimately in Legend Reborn, so it's kind of just suggesting that Strack may also be on edge.
Just considering how respectful Malum is of the lives of his people in any story except the one where he gets exiled, it does indicate that mind control could have been on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In chapter 4, we move back to original Miz and Legacy content. So we're now 3 weeks before the Ataro Championship. We see this astronomer who's gazing through a telescope and saying that something's moved. And the village elder is looking, and she isn't quite sure. But then the astronomer tells her that some hand and some arm has shifted.
Just a quick note, because it'll be important later. This astronomer character, Haderi,
it
so instantly ingratiated itself to me. Like, just how thrilled she is at the tiniest observation. Like, she's just so...
I love her.
She's just so stoked to be an astronomer.
Hey, look, village leader!
I want to date her.
Some rocks on the moon moved.
Yeah, and
she's the best. I love her.
I love how excited scientists in fiction get about the slightest science things, because as far as I can tell, this is accurate. You don't often hear about it in real life, about how just so super excited scientists in real life get about the smallest bit of shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it happens so rarely.
Like, whenever literally anything happens on Mars, they throw huge fucking parties at NASA. Liam, widget sounds.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
let us continue.
The village elder doesn't quite get what the astronomer is so excited about, but the astronomer is really excited because she's staring at this moon, and there are shadows moving that look like hands and arms. And this is a month ago too, so something weird is happening on that moon.
Yes,
weird.
they have a mythology about a man on the moon similar to how we do. Only theirs is real.
Yeah. So that's something interesting to weird. Anyway, so then Gresh walks in with Terex and with just Terex, and the astronomer wants to show them the telescope, but the village elder's impatient, and they are discussing the tournament and all the fights that need to happen. And then by the time the two Glatorian leave, they're really upset and discussing the threat of the Bone Hunters. And then this is also corresponds to when the Skrull and the Traitor were both discussing that the Bone Hunters would attack the caravan. So this is around the same time period, and we know that that's coming. But Terex has to go to Equinox and engage in this fight. That both the Glatorian move pretty quickly, and as they go through the jungle or go through the desert, they see several Voroks fighting with wasteland wolves, and they note that the scavengers are getting pretty desperate. And then I like how these stories all tie into each other, because like that was also a scene in that was from Way of the Lawless, wasn't it? I think there were. I can't remember if that exact scene is in there, but it's
not for this exact one, because Way of the Lawless would have been 3 months ago, whereas this was, I think, 1 month ago.
Yeah,
so the timeline wouldn't quite align, but it could be a very similar skirmish. It could be. I just picture the Wastelands being this vast stage, and all these different battles are happening somewhere within view over a dune.
Everyone's fighting something at some point.
It's always raining somewhere. It's always Tuesday somewhere.
And it's high noon somewhere.
Then the Glatorian finally arrive at Equinox. And this is actually our first. We'd never see Equinox in canon except at the very beginning of the crossing, I believe. So this was a chance to expand on that village. We get to know what it's like and get a sense of its culture a little bit. But right as the Glatorian are arriving, they're met by Strack, and who tells them, and Gelu as well. And Gelu tells them that Tajun was attacked by Bone Hunters, and none of the shipments survived. And by the next chapter, so then that feeds right into the next chapter. So the Bone Hunters are enjoying their treasures, and they talk with the Traitor, and the Traitor the Bone Hunters are concerned about what's going to happen, but the Traitor smiles and says that the villages will be distracted with what's coming. In Tejun, the village elders talking with Kina, and Kina's really upset because she wants retaliation, but the village elder is convinced that there's nothing that they can do. Meanwhile, in Equinox, Terex is forced to continue this fight with Gelu, but Terex isn't enthusiastic about it. He's in really rough shape, but he's being really aggressive because his mind is back in Tejun that has just been attacked. So Gresh and Strack are talking, and they're not sure if there's any. They're also talking about the situation in Tejun and talking specifically about Terex and his reaction. And then Gresh eventually reaches the decision that on the final day of the Atro Championship, he is going to do his very best to unite the villages and to respond to this threat of the Bone Hunters. He's on this final day when everyone's revved up, he's going to find some way that he can rally everyone. And so that's pretty much. Am I still here? I am still here.
Yeah, you're good.
I was too quiet for too long.
Excellent.
Sorry, see, this is why I talk so much, because if I stop talking, then people
to know that I'm still here.
This is why I talk so much, because if I stop talking, people forget they exist.
Cool. All right.
But if you talk too much, then we run out of time. So we got to have a balance of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I am the madness that defines reality.
We got it. Yes. Continue, Gonel.
So that's the end of that whole big chunk of time. And so we flash forward again to the Atro Championship. We have our last big fanon chapter before we continue with the second comic. And we get this introduction to Atro, learning that people are coming, but many won't ever leave again. And we get this layout of Atro, this world building chunk. And then we go to Kyrie and another Fire Agori who are just having a good time. They're watching the fighters arriving, this big procession. They see these vehicles arriving. They see Ranu and Akar notice these villagers just hanging out and chatting and enjoying themselves, and this is very lighthearted.
And Akar's just like, is that bitch that I know?
Yeah. And just
he's very annoying,
having a good time, just chilling, and the others are kind of rolling their eyes. But even as this big procession is happening, even as these villages are arriving at Atro, even as one city is being filled with its new population, we have another city getting emptied. And swords are being drawn, shields are being drawn. The commanding officer takes a giant mace and then chooses a different one.
Just quickly, sorry. I love the detail that he picks up another mace.
Yeah.
Like he picks out a mace and then he's like, nah, I'll grab this one. Why? Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt there, but that's so funny.
That Stronius wants this bigger mace, and Thronax are distributed, armor strapped on, rock steeds are saddled, and even as all this is happening, even as Atro is getting filled up by these people excited for the championship, Roxas is being drained, and the Iron Jaws are yawning open. Even as this is happening,
it's called Thronax because you throw it.
Oh, is that?
I think it's probably called a thornax because it has thorns.
Yeah.
Yes. Gonel pronounced it Thronax.
Oh yeah, thrown.
Because you throw
How dare
it.
you mispronounce this word, my friend?
You can mispronounce things. This is allowed. You can mispronounce things. This is allowed. I am reminding you that you exist and you're good.
Thank you. But yeah, even as all this is happening, Vorox, that's wandering in the night, notices shadows emerging from Roxas and a large clanging that's happening. And the Vorox sees this and makes a break for it and scrambles back into the tunnels and goes back to Malum, who is kind of upset that the Vorox hasn't been summoned, but asks why. And the Vorox says what it's seen. I can't remember what I can't remember what gender the Vorox.
I saw a bunch of Scroll doing some Scroll stuff, and Malum's like, that's pretty funny.
And then Malum notes that the great spirit of Roxas has stirred from its sleep. But can Barmagna live out the storm?
The answer is no.
Yeah.
How sad.
So
how sad. I liked the Mad Max world that we built through a system of honor-based gladiator combat.
Yeah.
That was fun.
A big old tank shaped like a head seems very Mad Max.
Yeah.
It does.
Honestly. But
I'm thinking RID Megatron, the one that turned into literally a head crab.
It was a hand, actually, but
there were two. There were two Megatrons.
Yeah.
There was a head crab one and one that turned into everything.
That was from Beast Machines. But anyway,
so
this is not a Transformers podcast.
Not with that attitude.
It's not a Transformers podcast.
It's a franchise about a robot. It's a franchise with a giant robot god.
No, you're right. This is a Homestuck podcast.
No. We are getting distracted. We have less than an hour. Yeah. Please, what are our thoughts on this story?
I am the madness that reminds you exist. I like it.
Yes.
I really appreciate up until this point what's happening with Carrix, because you can really tell like his village in particular is being hit by these caravan raids, and they're missing water. they're the water tribe. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Not only are they losing caravans, but they also just lost their oasis too.
Yeah.
You'd think Equinox is the one who has the most water. That's ice, right? You could just melt it.
Yeah. No, but they don't have their element of melting. Nuju has that.
And it might, and it might not necessarily be
my elements of melting.
It might not necessarily be clean water. That's true. That's why the polar ice caps melting doesn't necessarily help the water supply. In real life, the water we're getting from the polar ice caps melting is worse quality because some of it's cleaner and some of it's got ancient disease.
I love ancient disease, man.
Ancient disease is pretty sick.
Yeah, they're uncovering
literally.
They're uncovering ancient viruses and microorganisms and all sorts of nasty things all up in there. And humans are just melting that.
Yo, give me the big pox.
Yeah, small packs ain't nothing. We're gonna get the big pox. We're gonna get the big pox. We're gonna get the enormous pox. We're gonna get the macro pox all up in here. We're gonna get the enormopox, the gigantopox.
All right, we gotta move on.
Yes.
Anyone else have something to say about the story before we move on to Mad Max Fury Road? Sorry, Road of Fury.
I'll quickly.
Are we even at Mad Max?
Through some of the additions made in the chapter 7 and 8.
Yeah.
There's one scene where Strack encounters this chef, and Bob actually knows a few things.
Yeah, so this chef was just a headcanon character I made a few years ago of a Fire Tribe chef, and I made a whole page for him, a whole backstory. He was just a chef who just used the animals of the wasteland, the creatures of Fire Magna in his dishes. And there was one case where he made sandbat hand rolls that were so bad that they caused an arena match between two tribes.
Dungeon Meshi. Dungeon
Exactly,
Meshi.
kind of the reverse. So he's just a really bad chef. But yeah, this is Strack reacting to one of his dishes. So he managed to weasel his way into this story, and it kind of paid off the terrible cuisine that he makes.
Yeah,
that's great.
But yeah, so
Does he have a name? Does he have a name? I don't remember.
He does. He's called Arto.
He does.
Yeah.
What about having another chef like this? And that's like we name him the opposite of, we name him Senshi backwards, and all of his food tastes good. Dungeon Meshi.
We could do. I think he'd be Earth Tribe.
Where are we right now? What's going on?
We're currently in chapters 7 and 8 of not Outcasts.
Yeah, I think
Rejects.
Yeah. So
I thought we were done. My bad.
Yeah, we see this practice match between Strack and Terex, which is in the comics. We get this explanation about Glatorian, which explains some of the weird things, why we focus on a few characters despite all the big, how large relatively the Glatorian system is. And we, it talks about, we see an expanded version of Strax and Terex's discussion. And then we see Gresh and Tarduk encountering Malum. And
just like in the comics.
Yes. And I won't.
Right.
There aren't too many expansions there. Since we're short on time, I won't really touch on them. But then we get to the day of the Etro Championship, and we see the beginning of the ceremony. We see the three Agori crowding into Birix, Ranu, and Metis crowding into the stadium. And we see the Glatorian chanting. And then we.
And then
hear-
everyone dies.
Yeah, and everything goes. The three Agori wander off to stretch their legs, and they see a giant sandstorm, but they realize it's not a sandstorm.
It's
They
a big
realize-
giant head.
It's the scroll. And the scroll chant, for glory, for victory, for power. And then they
Oh, we
charge
did
on
it.
the
It's
stadium.
like the comic.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
And we see this giant bloodbath. The scroll are ravaging Atro. And
There's a
And the
particular
astrologer dies.
Yeah, in this moment in the,
No!
it's just so quick. It's just so quick. It's just like
My girl!
she's running for her life, and it describes her seeing Ranu and help people out, and she's running. He's holding, and it's just that's the thing she saw. That hit me weirdly hard.
Mhm.
I loved her.
Yeah.
She was my favorite.
I got
I
about
love
5
that.
minutes
I had
with
a
her, and I
crush
loved
on
her.
I had a crush on her.
It's
And now
a
she's
lot
dead.
of casualties,
And I'm sad.
including some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the
Eh.
Glatorian and Agori reconvene in a distant cave. Terex vows that they will return. And then, although there's no one to see it, no astronomer to witness it, on one of the moons, the man on the moon has stood up.
Yeah, that went so hard for me.
Yeah.
If anyone had bothered to look up, they'd have seen some man on
Thank you, Moon
stood
Man.
up. That is.
If for whatever reason this was the
Good old evil
if for
Moon
whatever
Man.
reason this was
Thank you,
literally
Mac,
the first
tonight.
bionic if for whatever reason this was the first Bionicle thing anyone ever read, this would be a menacing just like a foreboding non sequitur. Like, oh wow, that's terrifying, but I don't know what it means. But we know what it means. Oh god, we know what it means.
That's true.
Ah.
Good old bonks. And then I stopped getting Bionicle comics in the mail with my Lego magazines.
Oof.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. So then the epilogue, really fast. We hear this exile who's been thrown out of his world, forced to travel an endless expanse only to find himself stranded in Barra Magna. Tuma is standing on this giant Skull Mountain, and he's gazing out at Barra Magna and thinking about his plan. And at the very end, he hears this phrase ringing in his head like the tolling of a bell. One phrase he would never forget until it's fulfilled. I will return. And those who remember the epilogue of the final battle, that's the exact thing that
I remember
Matsune
that.
is thinking.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Exactly.
Exactly. You're correct.
And that's Remnants and Rejects.
Anyway, I enjoyed that.
I enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you for expanding on the comic.
I love it.
Thank you.
I smile.
That was a fun one.
My favorite
Very
part
good.
of this was absolutely,
stuff.
again, much like with goodness gracious, how am I forgetting his name? This is evil Malum.
You forgot the name of your favorite character?
Favorite character?
Wow.
Yeah, no. Trust me, guys. My brain is scrambled like the scrambled like the egg.
Heatstroke does. Hey! Heatstroke does that. Heatstroke is 90% of the reason that I am the way that I am. So all of you are suffering because of the thing that makes me the way
Yes.
I am.
We're all a little
Continue.
bit Josie.
Levi.
My favorite part of this short story was definitely, again, the leadership on display. Tuma is a really interesting and intelligent villain in this, and he's made out to be so aware of the people around him and their motivations. He's not ignorant, he's not power hungry, he's simply pursuing the scroll's interests. He is literally he mentions the scroll inhabiting the Skull City the skull-shaped city of Roxtus look like insects from up here. From any other villain's standpoint from earlier parts of the series, the thought that they look like insects would come with, I am a god compared to these. But for him, he's thinking each of these Skrull are intelligent beings with hopes and dreams, and if he has anything, their hopes would be realized and their dreams would come true. All of the leadership in the later Bionicle stories is so good. It's so interesting. You can really tell by the end of the series just how much the writing has progressed and become centered towards an older audience. There's no more of this black and white thinking, good versus evil, that everyone has shades of grey to them by the end. It makes all the characters just so much more interesting.
Yep.
Yes.
On one corner we have,
anyone else?
Oh, I'm evil. I'm so evil. And on the other, I have an implacable enemy that I need to defeat, and the only way to do that is by conquering the world.
Yeah, it's a far cry from the Makuta, well, Pterodax. We know now. Ha ha ha.
He has killed almost all the other Makuta. You can just call him. You can just call him Makuta.
The Makuta now, yeah. But it's just such a far cry from the childish nature of the stories we've leveled.
Let's fucking go, dude. I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, that was like automatic. Wow. That came like automatic out of me.
That was a premium tired thought.
I love this. I love this. Is this what it's like? Is this what it's like talking to me normally? Is this what it's like talking to me normally? Just saying
just a little quieter.
Yeah, wow.
Lower the volume 10%. That's what you got.
Just 10?
It's more like 30, my god. But
wow.
Decibel?
I should know. That's what I have it set as.
Decibel's a logarithmic. Leave me be.
All right. So anyway, anyone else have thoughts before we continue to our last story in the last 40 minutes of this episode?
God.
That's right. Yes, I am God. Hi.
No more of that.
All right. Anyone have any thoughts? I have sacrificed thoughts for lucidity. So I don't have any.
But
that's okay with me. Anybody else? Going once. Going twice.
Yeah, no, I really like Transformers, actually.
Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on to Road of Fury.
Max Fury Road, here we come. I haven't seen that.
It's time for the Road of Fury.
I have seen
straight
that movie.
away.
Donald,
We get our first tangent, because Star Wars.
I have actually seen that movie.
Donald, take it away. But be quick.
I have actually seen that movie.
concise.
I fell asleep.
Donald, please.
So, Chapter 1, Road of Fury.
It's funny.
It is fun.
In my notes for this, I just have sand.
We have 40 minutes left.
I like
my
these two.
note
Hurry.
is similar. My first note is sand joke. He who fuck you.
It's like the first paragraph too, and I was like, oh my lord.
Yeah. We are following these vehicle riders who are wandering through the desert. Turns out this is the Caxium, and they are bickering with each other. And
one of them tried to chat up the ladies, and the other's like, "You've wasted our time."
yeah,
And
and I like that. That made me laugh.
the second note I have, or the third note I have here, really, this line just sets the tone for the entire rest of the story. Let the reader note that at this point, anyone who had come out to relish the night sky would have long since left.
I remember that too. I was like, I was like, that's a bit odd. Is this supposed to be here?
These writers, they have an argument over how voices work, and they mention falsettos and
Yeah.
and just
the banter was premium quality banter right there.
I love it.
The whole of this story is just those Who has the
I love these two. I love these two.
I would love to perform the chapter one day with someone.
I love these.
Like do like an audio version of it, like have a performance done of it.
That would be quite fun.
I love this.
We gotta get these two in on Ida's journey and see who really has the falsetto.
Anyway, sorry for rumbling you, Gonel.
Oh no, no worries.
Please continue.
So they're going through the desert, they're bickering, and then they stumble on this fight between the Baranus and the Thornatus. And that's chapter 1.
That is indeed.
Hooray!
40 more, less than 40 minutes left. Less than 40 minutes left.
The one thing I have to ask is, do these characters, like any of the vehicle riders, except for like Samad and Tellerus, do any of them have story outside of Fanon? I know Perditus probably doesn't.
Perditus doesn't. Tellerus is in...
Perditus doesn't even show up anywhere.
Well,
yeah. Tellerus
Reviving Bionicle is literally the only thing about him that anyone's cared about for years.
Huh.
Yeah. He'd never
there's a comic that has the vehicle riders like very briefly. I think it's issue number 4. I don't really remember though, but it does have the Kendox and the Caxium. And it's kind of like the featured set profile for them.
Liam.
Perditus is literally the only one from those vehicle sets that doesn't appear in any canon media.
Well,
His vehicle does in the movie, but he doesn't.
Yeah, his vehicle does, but not him.
They stole his car.
He is in Reviving Bionicle as a toy that no one cares about. That is his arc. That is basically his impact on Bionicle.
Yes.
One quick question for the people who are familiar with the sets. Is there anything, do we have anything for these vehicles?
Yes.
No, as in, so for the Thornatus, it keeps mentioning this is the Thornatus V9, the Baroness V7.
No.
Do we even have V8, V7, V6, for either of these vehicles?
No, we don't.
Why?
Yeah.
Not set
Why
wise.
can't we just call it the Thornatus?
I think
because it's specifically. Hold on. I got an answer.
You got
world building.
Specifically because the ones in the sets are the ones that belong to those specific characters, and they've personally modified them for arena combat.
And the same thing that this isn't exactly new. This all started with the Exalera and the Rocco and things. Those vehicles from the Jetrax from 2008.
Right.
By giving
that makes sense.
The ones with the numbers are specific ones customized or
modified
by the characters that pilot.
Giving a vehicle a number is a world building thing. Stating a number is a world building exercise. SCP-173, it was called that to imply that there were more. The Enterprise was given a number to imply that the Federation had more ships like this. Everything when a number is
that's pretty much it.
No matter how pointless a number is, it's always for world building.
Good point.
And toy marketing too.
Continue, Gonel.
And marketing.
Yes, that too.
What toyetic can you get?
Moving on.
Moving right along.
So the second chapter follows in this battle between the Thornatus and the Baranus, and Perditus is dueling Samad, and then Kerberaz and Skodanis reluctantly agree to help. So they intervene, and there's this vehicle battle, and Samad is defeated, and the others capture or are able to recover the prisoners that Samad has captured. And we get a brief introduction. We realize, or they explain that they're from the north, that they're actually Skrull.
The rescuers are like, you're a gory, but you have brown armor. What's your deal? That's not a thing. And they're like, oh, we're Skrull! Because they're in a hurry to try to come up with some explanation because they're scared of what the actual explanation. So they come up with a stupid explanation, and for whatever reason, everyone buys it.
Yeah, Skrull, historically with brown armor.
They're very
Yes.
distrustful of this, but they're like, well, Rock Tribe and Gory are weird, so I guess we'll go with it.
Yes. Anyway, Gonel, continue from there.
Just quickly
Please.
before that, I was interrupting.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I was interrupting to say, no, they're not. They're from northern region, the north. What?
They're Northerners.
They specify we're from the northern region to the north.
Yeah, they're Canadians. That's why their armor is a different color. They're Canadians.
They're from Sheffield, actually.
Yeah. Every planet has a north.
So what you're
Anyway,
saying is that
continue.
they're like, for the thumbnail, we're just gonna have like Attakis painted brown with like the split head, like the South Park Canadians.
Sure.
All right, Gonel, hit us with the next bit during these last 30
Oh,
minutes.
hit me, Daddy.
Stop.
Undo.
Excellent. So third chapter, it's the dawn of the next morning, and we get to know a little bit about these two characters, Vahkiti and Kaldi. Wonder where we've seen them before, but anyway.
They sure seem to look a bit like war criminals.
And
I love those.
They so this is picking up after the first chapter of Remnants and Rejects, where the Skrull brought them south. And we see some more bickering from Skodanis and Kerbraz, and they head toward these red splotches, and they are trying to figure out what it is. And Parditis knows that something happened nearby in this general area. He isn't sure quite what it is. But right as they're about to see, they realize it's the Scopio.
Oh no.
Oh dear. That would be a terrible threat if it wasn't trapped under a big thing.
Was it the Scopio or is it a Scopio?
The Scopio.
The Scopio, the one and only.
Piloted by our Iron Man.
The one that has the real Tellerus in it and not just a fake copy that the movie decided was canon.
Not just his arms.
They used the set model as a reference and didn't actually know about Tellerus, so they didn't know that the figure wasn't part of the guy, wasn't part of the creature.
I feel like that should have been pretty obvious, considering he's literally the opposite color of the rest of the set.
Lots of animals.
But the thing is, the people there are not Bionicle fans. They're paid to do a job. They're saying, make the thing look like this, and they're like, okay.
Lots of animals have vestigial parts that resemble guys hanging off of them.
They're not going to question it because they're just like they're just told, hey, make it look like this.
No,
And they're
lots
like,
of animals.
cool.
We're not paid to think. We're paid to model. We made Food Fight. We should know.
Now, lots of animals have vestigial organs that look like guys hanging off of them. It's fine.
Anyway, we're tangenting, and I can't have that anymore. Please, God.
Yeah, so
Save us, mighty Gonel.
they find the Scopio, and they Parditis is hurled from the Thornatus, and Tellerus is exulting while Vahkiti and Kaldi realize that they have to take over the Thornatus. So they're trying to figure that out. Skodanis and Kerbraz are arguing over something stupid, and
as usual,
they're really trying to put up a fight. And they finally find a way to use the Thornatus, but
their little leggies don't reach the pedals, so they just use their hands.
Yeah, they have to work together to make this thing work because they're both Agorian, not tall enough compared to Aglatorian. So they aren't really having much effect though against the Scopio, and Skodanis and Kerbraz are finally picking up on what the others are trying to do, and they are able to put together a plan. But they're trying to communicate, but they aren't really effectively. Skodanis and Kerbraz trying to signal, but they're making opposite gestures, and Vahkiti and Kaldi have no idea what they're trying to say. So they go ahead and try and engage with Artillerius leaps out of his cockpit and uses his turret to attack, and the others are able to follow a rough plan and attack the Scopio.
I follow a rough plan, by the way. You do mean see the other two waving gibber and
Yeah.
let's drive this into the thing.
Yeah, it's not really a coordinated effort, but they're able to work together well enough, and then they are able to attack the Thornatus, or attack the Scopio with the Thornatus, and then the Water Agori try to come up with a good catchphrase, but they aren't able to get one in time. And then the motorcycle lands in the cockpit and flounders around and smashes it, completely destroying the vehicle's console and whatever was left of the Scopio.
Yay! The slave ship is no more.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Yes. This also...
What's next,
This
Gonel?
takes place right after the crossing, so this is why it's partly destroyed, because of the others that came through, and now this is destroying the rest. Okay. And it picks up with Tellurus in Samet's Tale when he's upset that they've completely destroyed everything.
I feel like Tellurus only appeared in the story to have his vehicle get crashed every single time.
He had the single best vehicle in the entirety of Bionicle, and the plot for him only existed to see it be destroyed.
Ironic
As
that
with all cool vehicles in Bionicle.
ironic that
The Usanui! No!
ironic that a series with Michael Dorn playing the main character would employ the Worf effect, wherein someone strong exists solely to have his ass kicked at the beginning of the episode to show how clearly everything's strong.
What's next, Gonel?
So they pick up in the aftermath of the battle. Perditus knocks out Tellurus. They discuss what to do with him, but they decide to just leave him, to tie him up and to leave him. And
He'll be here when we get back.
Skodanis and Kerbraz are bragging about what happened, and they pretty much set out again. So they head in the direction of the Squall River, and Skodanis talks with Perditus about what's going on at the Dark Falls, and Perditus is kind of dodgy about what's going on up there. He says, our business is our own, and Skodanis just kind of shrugs it off. And Perditus explains that he's heading up there to recover some Exidian that was lost from Iconox during a shipment in the crossing. And Perditus Perditus asks what the others are going up to do. Skodanis says that Tajun sent them to do the same thing, and they were hoping that Volcanus had forgotten about it. And they continue discussing it and what they're both getting up to, discuss what they've done in the past, specifically about Bix. And they finish making patches. They discuss the Vorox and the Wasteland Wolves, and they set out again. And a Wasteland Wolf howls at the sun.
And I very much like the other fourth wall breaking quote here, where we have Skodonius was correct. There were a bunch of them waiting up ahead.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Glorious.
Also, the Dances with Wolves reference. You stop that.
Which one was that one? Remind me.
There was a quote that says like dance. I think someone said like, when did you start dancing with wolves or something like that?
Yeah. This whole story was written one chapter was written per day, so things got a little
Silly.
Yeah. It was all written in anticipation of a contest, I think.
24 minutes.
Wiki.
Mm.
So
Yes, we must continue.
okay, so chapter 6.
What's next?
they're complaining about the deserts, but they get attacked by the wolves, and they try to figure out what to do with the wolves. They're fighting and driving them off. Oh yeah, and here's the dance with wolves quote.
Yeah.
And Skodanis and Kerberos make fun of each other. Vakta again insists that they're a former Skrull employee, but don't belong this far south. And then night falls, and they continue discussing they discuss if they're going to break off and worry about the Excidian or continue the journey. So then
very important detail as well is that Skadonius has a needlessly large tent.
Yes.
Yeah. So
It's pretty funny.
then they head up again, and they meet. Perditus says that Crotesius hasn't found anything under the Dark Falls, and then
That is Cretaceous.
is it Cretaceous? But
Pretty sure
Maybe.
it is.
Cretaceous period.
I remember that's how Greg said it in his little audiobook
If
thing.
Greg said it, it must be true.
Cretaceous. Okay. Then they head into the Black Spikes. The two water Agori are complaining, and then they are trying to.
I do have to ask one thing here. It may have been in this chapter, maybe in the next one. I forgot. What exactly is Lunus Magna?
The moon.
The moon!
The moon.
Yeah, I think it was just
The great moon!
wasn't anything in particular. It was just a little cultural world building, something that
I assume Spherus Magna's original moon,
something
could
like
be.
that. But
if it had one.
something for people to individually.
It could have just been destroyed during the original crash. If you don't like that if you don't like that there is a fourth celestial body involved, it could have been destroyed during the shattering.
I think that was added because if we hit Aqua Magna or Boda Magna, it would make the sentence sound different. I don't really remember what it was meant to be.
Makes sense.
Lots of planets have a north.
Yeah, so they continue heading into the Black Spikes. They hear this clanging. They aren't sure what it is. And Perditus goes to look. Kerberos has injured himself. And Perditus is trying to figure out what the clang is. He sees this view of Bar Magna, but then the clang comes back again. And it's down the path from them. That's chapter 7. So chapter 8, they hear this clanging coming closer. And they realize that it's a rock. It's been a while since I reviewed this story, so I'm picking it up as we go.
It's a
How
character with the
dare
best
you not be
name.
intimately familiar with your own story?
Yeah. It's a Rockagori, and Rockagori helps them realize that the two Agori that they're traveling with are not actually Skrull, are not actually part of the Rock tribe.
Yeah.
They're actually
they compare the color of the two's armor like color swatches and like, hey, wait a minute!
I'm not colorblind.
yeah, and
Brown isn't black!
this character is an inventor, and he's just all the clanging is all the stuff he's carrying with him, and
He's got a big old Santa sack full of goodies.
he does, honestly, and he explains why the Skrull fled as quickly as they did, and he actually describes Vakta and Kaldi as outcasts. And Vakta and Kaldi are getting upset at this, but then this character, Defantis, reveals them that they are Earth Tribe members. Not actually Rock Tribe members like they were saying.
They're from the ground.
And this would have been obvious, but most other cultures besides the Rock Tribe kind of forgot about the Earth Tribe.
They were just kind of like, Earth, Iron, pretty bright. The same.
Yeah. Who can keep track? There's earth, there's rock, there's sand. There's so many elements that do this that basically are the same. Who can keep track of it all?
No, we have established that sand is.
Anyway.
Yeah, sand is an element here.
Yes.
We're sandy.
Anyway.
Let's continue.
So the Earth
Gonel.
Tribe apparently did the worst shit during the war. Liam widgets that out.
Yeah, they started the whole war.
In the final chapter, they explain that actually a lot of this was masterminded by a lot of the core war was masterminded by the Element Lord of Earth, and they talk about how the Earth Tribe, as a result, had to flee and hide from everyone else because they realized that everyone would learn their role in the war, and then the characters try to decide what they're going to do now that they realize that they have these people who helped participate in this, wittingly or unwittingly, and Perditus decides that the core war is behind them enough that the Earth Tribe has paid its price, or Skodanis decides that they've paid their price, and now that they're outcasts, it's the consequence of their actions.
He comes to this decision because he feels bad about pranking barracks.
Yes. They remind him of barracks. And then they let the Earth Agori go. They wander up the ridge. And then the characters return home.
They also do mention, they use the word critical hits.
I think that's in reference to like the little dial on the back of the toy. That has to be.
Yep.
This was such a silly story.
Yeah. I like it though.
This
like it
was
was a
such a
refreshing
silly
change of pace.
This was such a silly story until this one part where it wasn't, and then it got really dark. But the rest of it was silly.
Silly banter. War crimes.
Yeah.
That's how life be, you know?
One could say that the war crimes are the critical
life is a
hits
mix of things.
of banter.
The real war crimes are the friends we made along the way.
Is there more, Gonel? Do you have more
That's
for
pretty
us?
much it.
Oh dear God!
Amazing. Yeah, my thoughts. Pretty funny. Like,
Yeah, so
I love the dialogue.
so this story is the most I'm sure anyone has ever given a crap about Perditus ever,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Obviously, fans of Reviving Bionicle and Suddenly Origins himself have given a crap about Perditus for entirely different reasons, but I'm glad to see he's gotten some actual love in the actual, story that he comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's good.
We also tried to get all the vehicles on there somehow or another. Just make it a whole catalog.
Even got the Scorpio in there.
Yeah.
You're thinking like Lego.
Yep.
I like that.
And this was written to be a very similar style of story, kind of like an online serial in the same vein as Riddle of the Great Beings. So it's about the same word length and about the same count of chapters, more or less.
Indeed, I love Serial.
Each chapter averages about the same, roughly the same as those chapters.
Glorious.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And we've done it! We've actually gotten through all the story content.
Yay.
Yeah.
By the skin of our teeth.
If I absolutely had to, I could have cut the recap of Rostus up till from the radio version and just kept that in the YouTube version. But we don't have to do that.
I'm sure you can find some fluff. I'm sure I'm sure you can find some fluff to cut out.
Yeah, I can cut out basically everything you say. It'll be fine. I'm kidding.
Oh,
I'm
brilliant.
kidding.
I wouldn't mind that at all, really.
What do we have for next time, Liam? Please tell me and
that
everyone
would probably
else.
be a question for Gonel or Bob, actually, because I have no idea.
Gonel, what do we have for next time? Please tell us.
I'll tell you really quickly. I want to. Since we have time, I'm going to quickly go back to Remnants and Rejects.
No.
At the theme,
It better not be 4 novels. If it is, I'm going to kill you.
No. The theme of Bar Magna, the whole thesis of the story is that although Bar Magna is the soft reboot of the story, it's still, in spite of that, the perfect place for Matsunui to end up because he fits in with all these people. He's an exile in the same vein that so many of them are. And so I was talking about the parallels between the first chapter and Legend Reborn. We follow the characters to follow the narrative to Volcanus, where there's this fight. We then go to a couple other villages in between, and then we go to this final destination where there's this big showdown, and either Matsunui prevails or the Scroll prevail. And then we see this final epilogue that sets up everything that is to come. So there, at some point, I'd like to publish that essay that I was talking about, where I've gotten into parallels between Tuma and Matsunui, but a lot of them are either there or they're present. They're alluded to or directly stated in Power of the Great Beings, as well as in the Name of the Scrawl, which is going to be that Tuma versus the Batera story. So those stories plus the Legend Reborn are Tuma's full arc, as well as Empire of the Scrawl, although he doesn't develop too much there. But that also fits in there as well. I think that's pretty much it. So in terms of stories, the next week's are kind of an assortment of stories that weren't either published or finished at the time we were reading other stories relevant the time period. So each of these episodes,
so we'll be jumping like wildly throughout time periods in this episode.
It's just a random kind of collection of different stories that are now ready.
Not the first episode of this run of Regathered Friends that we've done that's like that.
True.
Yeah, exactly. So next week we'll have Old War Rahi 2 ready, which is actually something that hasn't been in. It only just started development. We've had some notes for what could happen in a possible sequel, but all of a sudden we realized that this was coming and it's in development. So it's just about ready. It's going to be hot off the press. We also have Spares, which is another story by Tannock Trapper, which was also just published maybe 12 or 13 days ago on TTV, and also republished a couple days ago on Myths and Legacy. We have Sunset at Neho Bay, which is a story by Vero, who was involved with the development of Mnog 3D. He's also an active member of the BIONICLE Wiki. Yeah. And then we have Borak Wars 2, which is it's continuing. It's everything that we didn't cover in the first one because a lot of the chapters weren't finished. It was only partially published. It's an anthology, so a lot of the chapters aren't connected. You can read them without necessarily reading the others. So we're gonna do the chapters that are going to be published shortly for Borak Wars. And then we have The Search for Tragaduma, which is a comic. And then we have Legacy Weapons, which is a Vision of the Great Being story parallel to Mazika.
Excellent.
So, Legacy Weapons is going to be the big one during that.
That one primarily follows the Toa Haga, if I recall, yes?
Yeah, it's one of my biggest story to date. I think about twice the length of Way of the Lawless at this point. But it's about the Toa Hag rescuing the Toa Mari from the Goldskin being.
Ooh.
Going on one final hurrah.
Well, do you think we'll have to do more than one episode for these stories?
I think this looks like a lot, honestly. This could be 2 episodes.
Yeah, for one episode.
Legacy Weapons could definitely be its own dedicated. Old Warahi 2 is looking to be about 10 or 12,000 words, roughly.
So about one of the stories we've read.
About half the length of a BIONICLE novel.
Hey Liam, you know how you were preemptively angry at him for the possibility that he would do this exact thing?
I was kind of hoping that we could get through all of the extra stuff in one episode, because then the episode that we have planned for BIONICLE Day could be the season finale.
Well, we'll try, but I have no guarantee that I'll be as put together as I was today.
We'll double check, Gonal, when we're done recording, why don't we double check the word length of everything and we'll see how it stacks up against, say, like, what happened with the invasion episode.
Yeah.
Spares is a short story. It's very short. Sunset and Neho Bay is also very short. Borak Wars 2, there's some chapters. Each chapter is fairly short, but together I'm not sure what they'll stack up as.
Right.
Search for Targadoom.
Together, those three probably equals one episode.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because a lot of the early episodes, we were doing like 3 or 4 short stories, and that filled up the whole episode, you know?
That could work, honestly. And they're all Matsunui themed.
Well, at any rate, we'll have a look at the word count and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. But those, anyway, are the stories that are lined up to be done sometime soon in this series. Yeah. So whichever ones we end up doing next week, next episode, we'll find out soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll let people know via social media.
They will know when the episode goes live.
Yay! I will go to their doors and inform.
You will know when the sky glows cat-shaped.
I love how I cut out when I said something important, Lamau.
I don't know what it means for the sky to go
hold on.
to glow cat-shaped.
So we'll inform people through social media or something what the final reading list for next episode will be once we have it finalized.
Right. And on that note, I think that just about covers it, yeah?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay,
no, I've still got about 3 hours of...
I'm gonna end you, Levi. That was today's episode. Everyone say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. It's over.
It's truly over now.